down my
Yeah.
computer.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fourth and 15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel. Joining me as always is Ronnie Big Smooth Hennigan. Ronnie, what's happening, man?
Mel, what's going on, bro? How you feeling, man?
Well, Steelers won. Buckeyes won by default. That game was gonna be bad either way. It
Yeah,
was
it
a happy.
was.
Um, with that being said, joining us tonight, we got not one but two special guests tonight. First off, we'd like to introduce Josh Unger from Cleveland Sports Talk, a good colleague of mine. And our next guest will be none other than the infamous. I would call him an a-hole, but I don't want him picking off the other one of my
Dang.
young. We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
That's probably the worst introduction ever. How can you even enjoy what I'm about to say?
What
Damn.
do you think? You think I'm gonna let you? You already embarrassed me once, man. You're not gonna make me look bad again. I'm sorry.
I think that we should seriously talk about who did the embarrassing there, because if I were your coach, I think keeping you a receiver first was the least embarrassed. Like, that would have been the better move. They should have threw somebody else at quarterback there.
Okay, well, let's get this straight before we go any further. So because Ronnie, I never told you this story. I only told one person this story outside of football.
Oh, and you're doing it live on YouTube. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is great.
Well, see, here's the thing. I can live it down now, but back then I couldn't stand DeQwan. I hated him.
Yeah,
Like I was wishing he stubbed his toe on the edge of the bed every night after that game. Okay.
Dang, not the
That's a
toe.
lot.
Oh, right.
It was a game coming up. It was an indoor game between Johnstown and Western PA. And at the time, Johnstown's team was falling apart. They needed players. I knew the head coach, Jeff Heather, at the time. And me and him were talking. He said he needed players. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything this weekend. You need a player. I got you. And he's like, you bring anybody else with you? I was like, I might have a linebacker. I might have a lineman. He's like, great. And then he's like, what all positions do you play again? I said, I play receiver, play DB, I can return kick. And I was like, I play quarterback if you get my head together. I was joking. It was
How am I at fault for that?
It was a flipping, flapping joke, man. Let's make that clear. It was a flipping joke. I didn't think, because he said I remember the whole text conversation. He said, I'll be right back. I'm going to hit you right back. I said, cool. An hour runs by. He sends me, he's like, what is your email? I'm like, all right, I send him my email. He sends me this 3-sheet playbook. Saturday. And I was like, shit, you serious?
Oh man.
And I was literally, I had my phone in my hand, literally texting, you do realize I was joking, right? And I never hit send. And he was like, if you can do this for me, I would greatly appreciate it.
Why didn't you just say no?
Well, at that point, look, we all know Jeff. Jeff is a great guy. And he was one of them coaches, like, you feel bad for letting him down. And I didn't want to let Jeff down because he was really giving me another shot. And I was like, man, all right, you know what? I got you. So I called Abe to give me some pointers at quarterback. You know, Abe was a quarterback. He was a quarterback when I played with him, but most of his arena career, he was a receiver. So I was like, look, man, I'm in the jam. I need quarterback advice. I need this. I need this. Help me out. He gave me everything he knew. I went down in the woods, down the street, started slinging passes at little kids. And Saturday rolls around. I'm like, all right, I got this. We were in the locker room. He's telling me, just relax. Just, be yourself. Just breathe. Take command of the huddle. You'll be okay. All right. Unbeknownst to me, y'all had Dave Sherbaum, who's a linebacker here in Cleveland, who I'm not going to say he was on steroids, but he played like he was because he never he was so intense, and that's just how he played. He was never on steroids, but he made you believe he was. And y'all had this big, tall, Ed Too Tall Jones looking asshole at DN.
Vic?
So, yeah, I think that was him. So first drive goes. Yeah. First drive goes. I get sacked. I throw 2 incompletions. Coach looks at me and says, "Go for it on 4th down." I said, "You sure?" He said, "Yeah." Gave me the play. I said, "Cool." Get to the huddle, break the huddle. Everything's going smoothly.
No, it wasn't. No, let's not lie. It wasn't at all.
It was because I could actually see for a change where I was throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Throw the ball. I throw the ball. Ed Too Tall Jones hits me. And all I hear is interception by DeQwan Young.
See, you guys need to understand the context of that entire description. Things were not going well. And then you can tell by the description that he threw 2 incompletes on the previous play and he couldn't see. So I think we should all chalk it up to a bad coaching decision.
Go to hell.
Well, I'll just take the blame.
Go to hell. Just go to hell, man. Not right now, but just go to hell, okay?
Okay. I know that's an eventuality.
I wouldn't say that. You're still a stand-up guy, but still, man, like you just robbed me. And then what was so crazy about it was you know how weird the quarterback stats are. So we get to halftime and my rating is like an 80 something. And I asked coach, I said, "How the hell does that work?" I threw 2 incompletes and
I don't think that was the case at all.
Yeah, that's what the stat sheet said. I wish he could send it to me, but everybody lost.
I'm gonna have to look that one up again.
Yeah, because I'm still waiting on the game. You ain't sent it to me at all. You keep sending me on
It's
this line.
nowhere. All of those games are gone, buddy. We barely got to film that year. You're asking me. You're asking for a game that we barely got to film on.
Yeah, don't exist no more. It was a wild time in arena football for us. The part that ate at me was it was somebody I knew. If it was somebody I didn't know, I wouldn't have cared. I'd have been like, you know what? Fuck it. It's an interception, whatever.
I mean, I was nice about it. I just tried to run it back.
Well, I didn't even get to see that part. By the time I got up, all I heard was interception by DeQwan Young. Turnover general. Like, ain't that a bitch? Fuck it. I hate you guys.
And yet you're still friends to this day.
Man, we friends to this day because, one, we both like wrestling because, it's wrestling. And then, two, we play. I think me and him and, I'm not going to say, I think, 2 other people in my immediate football circle have played in the same 2 leagues throughout the course of our career. Playing in the UIFL and the CIFL. And, not a lot of players have done that. A lot of players stay in one league because it's easier for them. They know the rules and, everybody's rules in arena leagues are different. Everybody want to tell you, it's easy, it's the same. Some rules differ from others and makes it a lot harder, makes it a lot easier depending on your position. And me and DeQwan just happened to play. I got my start in the CIFL. I ended in the AIF. He started in, was it the CIFL or did you start in the UIF? You started CIFL. I believe it was the Wolfpack. I can't be certain on that. Yeah, fuck them too.
Man, you harnessing a lot of negativity. You gotta let that go.
Man, you know what? I've been trying, but sometimes as a player, you should know this. When you hear certain names, certain teams, it just triggers. Like
I'll give you that.
We hear Glenville all the time, and it triggers.
Oh man, good man. Yeah, I felt that as soon as you said it.
And for those that don't know that are watching, me and Smooth went to Collinwood High School, and Glenville is our rival school. And needless to say, we never beat Glenville our careers there at college.
No, I mean I got some good hits on them, but that's about it.
Yeah, and we won a couple fights after the game. Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
I
Hey, man,
never played football.
Hey, when you play at Glenville, you got to win at something. All right, you got to. It's either the fight or the game. You can't have them both.
True. Back then. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
DeQuan,
I never played football. Just wasn't my
be
thing.
be glad you didn't, because it takes a toll on your body.
Yes, it does.
The closest I came was playing flag football as like a club in high school.
I would have took. No, you know what? Nah, I probably would. Because I'm too violent. Like, you grab a flag, it's not the same. It's not as fulfilling as actually hitting somebody. DeQuan, for us and the people watching, give us humble beginnings. Where you grew up, what was life like for you growing up, high school, when you got your career started in football, and where that took you from there.
I'm from Pontiac, Michigan, like 20 minutes outside Detroit. It's where the Silverdome was, where the Lions used to play. That's when I started playing football, watching Barry and the Lions be losers. Went to Pontiac Northern, played safety, cornerback. Got a scholarship to St. Joe's in Rensselaer, Indiana, D2 school, and then didn't get drafted, so played some arena ball, and that's it.
Now, when you got to St. Joe's, what was the atmosphere like for you? Because you said it's basically in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it was. I cried when I got there, and I hated it because I wasn't used to being by myself. My first semester, I went to class maybe a few times a week. I went to practice. I played in the games, and by midterms, I had like a 1.5 GPA. So it was, yeah, I wasn't doing nothing. It was a big adjustment period. But at the end of the first semester, they told me I need to maintain the 2.0, so I got to get a 2.3 to stay there. And I just didn't want to go back to Pontiac, so I buckled down and changed my major. My first major, I was a psych major. That was probably one of the worst decisions I ever made. I ran into the hardest professor that ever exists. The best player or the smartest player on our team, we were in the same class, and he had a 52% at midterm. So you can imagine what I had at midterm.
That's really,
yeah,
that's really
nasty.
Okay. Now, when you're on the field, you finally get your shot on the field for St. Joe's. What is game day like there? Because we all know, when you're, because Ohio Midwestern was small for me, so it wasn't the same. But going on away games, it was the same. It was let's buckle down, let's do what we got to do. What were those games like for you? Because you were D2, and back then St. Joe's wasn't, they weren't slouches. We all know that y'all had y'all moments, just like everybody else. But what was it like for you being in the D2 at St. Joe's, knowing you had to compete with some of the toughest teams around the area?
We played some real. My first year, we played some okay competition, and then when we started to get good, my sophomore year we were really good. My junior year, that was the best team. We started to play teams like Grand Valley and Indianapolis was really good. I was 17 when I got to college, so after camp or during camp, our starting DB got hurt, and like I'm the smallest guy there. I'm an energy guy. I'm yelling at the receivers. I'm getting the coaches hype. Like I was doing whatever I could to get on the field, but I became a leader. Like I knew I was making plays. I was being loud, and I was putting in the effort because I wanted to play. I didn't want to go back home. So just those moments in college I think it kind of shaped me as to who I was as far as just fighting, tenacity, toughness. It's about showing up every day to work, and I think that I've taken that into life, and A lot of the things that I do is just me saying I want to do it and trying to figure out how it happens.
Right. Understandable.
Cool.
Now, you graduate and you head to the indoor/arena league.
Yeah.
You get up by the Wisconsin Wolfpack. How did that happen?
I was in Manchester playing with the Manchester Wolves. I got cut. They had a veteran there by the name of Rob Green, Brandon Isaac. He played in the CFL for like 10 to 15 years. Who else was there? Al Phillips. He played in the Arena League for a long time. And Carlton Brown and somebody else. So I was kind of the odd man out. It was like I think I was the fifth DB in that rotation. So I got cut from there, and I knew somebody I went to college with. He was the general manager for the Wolfpack. So they picked me up, and I just finished out my season there. And then the next year I went back because I lived in the Chicago area. I tried to play with Erie that year, but they didn't practice hard enough for me to prove that I could play. So I left and went back to Wisconsin. I signed with Erie again. And then the week before the first game, I went and signed with Johnstown. Or the week after the first or second. It was the first or second game. I went and signed with Johnstown.
And the reason I'm going to be honest, the reason I hated Wisconsin, because if I'm not mistaken, that was the 2010 season. And they ended up going to the championship.
Yeah, we played Cincinnati.
And back then, Coach Back had Cincinnati playing like a bunch of a-holes and beating on everybody.
Man, it was cold back then. They had was it James Spikes? All them
James Spikes, Corey, what is that? Corey, Spikes. If I'm not mistaken, they had Bird too. And it was just like, man, can we get one? Because I was still back and forth with the Silverbacks back then. And I was like, man, can we get one? Like, I ain't had a winning season since it started, man. Can we get one? Nah. And then Wisconsin goes, y'all lose a squeaker actually, because that game was pretty competitive.
Yeah, I think I pulled both of my hamstrings. I got smacked on one kickoff. It was bad. I invited all my teammates and they was all sitting in a row, and I had looked up in the stands right after I pulled both of my hamstrings. It was a kickoff. I went down. I tried to brace. Whack! All I heard was ooh. One of the most embarrassing things I ever witnessed.
It happened.
Yeah, that was a fun game though.
It's always fun, especially when it's people you know or you get to know. And
hell no, not when there's people watching. It ain't that fun.
And that was the crazy part too, because Ronnie, I want you to understand this. Being in Cincinnati around that time, we know the Reds suck, we know the Bengals, they okay, but you hear the Commandos, and it's like, yeah, I know those guys.
Yeah,
you got to play home. You got to go to their house at the Garden, and it's like, well, shit.
Who are the Commandos?
The Commandos were an indoor team in Cincinnati. I think it was about the second or third, maybe fourth team at that point. I know they had the Jungle Cat Arena too. I know they had the Swarm and the Martians. It was about their fourth team there, and they were coached by Billy Back. Shout out to Coach Back. And they were just tough. They were the equivalent of people who really don't want you walking through their neighborhood. When you were cool with them before the game, when the game started, you was going home hurt.
Yeah, they weren't that tough.
It maybe not to you, because you talk shit back. I had no knowledge of these people when I first started.
Playing it safe.
I didn't know about Dominic Goodman. I knew him from Cincinnati. Yeah, I knew him from Cincinnati. I didn't think they was really gonna pick him up, but they did. I learned the hard way, and they were the dominant team in the CIFL at that point. They were actually one of few teams to win a league championship in two different leagues. They won it in the CIFL and then they won it in the UIFL. And I'm kind of glad they're gone now. Now that I think about it, because they
Yeah, all them teams going.
yeah, it's sad. It's sad because those were great teams, but as a player, you're kind of glad that they're gone because now you don't have to worry about them no more. So you get there, you get back with Erie, and we know the Lyotas pretty much got known for offense, known for defense. What was your interactions like in Erie with them?
So in that Johnstown season in 2012, when we played y'all and the team started to fall apart, the second game we played Cincinnati and then we played Erie back to back. So like they was talking trash up until the season. They said somebody tweeted Sean Lyotta said 35 is trash, so we're gonna go at him all game. So that whole week I'm hyped as hell. I started talking junk. Before the game, I was ready to go before the game, and then like I had a pretty shaky game in the first quarter. Then I caught an interception in the final minute, and I went and stared him down, and he got like you can see it on film, like he started yelling at me. So he got really pissed at me, and like I when I went back in 2014, like I got cut in Texas in 2013 and ended up playing in Missouri. So I wanted to play in Erie because I still lived in PA and they were close. So I had to apologize to him because I wanted to play, and I said, hey man, I apologize for the hookup. You think it would be cool if I played with you guys? So that was a rocky relationship to restore because I think Jeremy wanted me to play more than Sean did, but Sean was just like whatever.
Yeah, that sounds like Sean. That sounds like Sean. Al, you're retired. At least I think you are.
Hell yeah. That's
no, everybody got those rumors that you didn't came back.
Bro, I need Obamacare. I need all that care.
Now, you retire, and you hook up with TPS Sports. I know it's a touchy subject. But I gotta ask, the first stint, how did you get with those guys, and what was the experience like? And then we'll go from there.
The first thing I did, I made the Crying Jordan parody video. I made it like December one year, and then I dropped it after North Carolina lost to
Nova.
No, Nova, yeah. So
Nation,
it went viral, and then they kept asking me like, hey, we want you to come on, be an on-camera host. And then that year in like August, I had just finished promoting a fight in September or something. And I said, all right, whatever, I ain't got no job right now. So I started working with them as an on-camera talent. And then the next 3 years, I mean, working there was fun. Everything else sucked, like just the behind-the-scenes stuff and me trying to make things better and change things. All that stuff was trash because they're stuck in their ways and they're lazy and they just want to do things the same way. And I don't like half-assing anything. So, I tried to put in the work and put in the effort, and that kind of got me the boot.
Well, damn. That's on them. That's not on you.
That's right. It's not on me.
Now, I'm glad you said that because this was my favorite video of yours, and I know you're either going to start laughing or you're just going to look at me. And Ronnie, when I get a chance, I'm going to send it to you.
Okay, I don't want it.
Sucks.
Huh?
Why TPS sucks?
I hate them people. So last year I moved out to California. I was trying to help my friend build his business, and I got an email from a marketing agency. It said MGM Grand wants to use a clip of yours for a commercial. And I was like, hell yeah, I get paid and I get to be in the commercial. So they'd been trying to email me for a long time, and TPS was like holding that information. So I reached out to him. I said, hey, I got this from MGM. I'm about to do this commercial. And he's like, no, you're not. Something. And then like in a span of 10 minutes, they had deleted me from everything.
Wow.
Shit.
Whoa.
So I
That is-
made this video. I was really mad. I had just started. Well, it happened in like September or July, so I was chilling. It's like, man, what am I about to do? I just had all those fans and I'm stuck. So I had started making videos on my channel, just doing the same stuff that I had been doing, and it worked out.
Hey, you know what? That to me, that was the best video an employee could ever do about a company that they worked for because it was so Stone Cold Steve Austin-ish, and
Did
it
he give
made
him the stunner?
I'm pretty sure he probably would have if he could have.
What happened? Give him a stunner? Hell yeah.
I mean, hey, Kevin Owens does that on Friday Night SmackDown.
Listen,
So.
I'll run through the entire offices of TPS with some Steve Weisers and my Stone Cold vest if I could.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
But,
so they
but
would
you know,
all rest in peace. Got it.
But you know what? The video wasn't disrespectful in any way. It was just how he really felt about how they did. Yeah, it was the truth. You can't be mad at that. And then I started seeing you were back with them, and I'm like, did that video come back?
No, that was the April Fool's troll. I think so a lot of my time spent there, I was the Seahawks throwing the ball on the 1 yard line to Marshawn Lynch.
I hate hearing about that.
Oh man.
They put that in every script, and I was like, it was like a running gag. It's like, man, I hate that play. Man, I hate that play. It's in every script. I hate that play. And every time it was in there, I would just like, okay, this is the play. You know what it is. Boom. And there was just one point I was like, I don't even got to set this play up. So on April Fools, I did the top 10 plays ever. I put on my TPS gear, put the TPS green screen background up, and then just had a little fun with it.
Nice. My favorite NFC team is the Seattle Seahawks, so I get a little bit triggered when I hear about the ball on the 1 yard line. But
yeah, they got squashed today.
It was worst plays in the world. Trust me. Now
I know. I know.
Were you referencing your interception, Mel?
Man, if you don't shut up.
Oh man, dang.
That
was kind of set. That was the alley oop though.
See, this is exactly what Trump wanted us to do. It's why we can't never have nothing.
This is why we don't deserve nice things.
Anyway, I know I didn't get a chance to talk with you about this, but recently Jared passed away, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody keeps referencing when he broke his leg. Now, for those that don't know, Jared broke his leg in his last arena game, and the person that made the tackle is wearing a Hulkamania shirt.
This is a Quantumania shirt.
Oh, okay. My bad. Quantumania.
Nice.
Sorry. I didn't realize he had made his own Quantumania shirt.
Quality TV store on whatamaneuver.net.
Nice insert promo.
I mean, he did try out for Tough Enough too. We're gonna get into that. So I could see him sliding in promo stuff. But what was the interaction like with you and Jared after that had played?
There wasn't one. So after the game, I reached out to him on Facebook. I think I apologized and I sent the friend request, and then he didn't accept it. So I wrote an article that said Jared Lorenzo won't accept my friend request, and it stood like that the entire time. I checked it like every year, and he still didn't accept it. And then when I found out he passed, it was like same thing. Like I didn't really have any interaction with him. His coach tried to blame me for it, which that was funny because I tackled that way since high school, and
we all have.
I'm not about to let no 370-pound man run me over so I could be on 1st and 15 getting laughed at out the gym. So I don't think it was a dirty play. I don't think it was a bad play. It's unfortunate what happened to him, but I don't think I deserve any blame for playing football.
And you don't. It was a bang bang play. We've all blown our knees out, or at least hurt our knees doing the same thing, trying to make a tackle or trying to avoid a tackle. It was just an unfortunate accident. It wasn't serious. Well, we didn't think it was serious because on ESPN's view, it didn't look serious. He just went down, but it happened. It was unfortunate. He broke his leg, but there's nothing we can do about it. We missed him, but I blaming anybody for a simple tackle is just not going to work.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, now you said you got the Quantumania T-shirt. We know you're a wrestling fan. I remember you trying out for Tough Enough.
Yeah, I do everything.
That?
Huh?
Who roped you into that?
Me. If it's any opportunity to escape poverty, I will do it. If you want me to be on a reality TV show, I will write you something and try out for it. If you want me to be on 4th and 1, whatever reality football show it is, that's why I started my YouTube channel. I enjoy entertaining. I enjoy my energy. I enjoy laughing and being funny and fun. So it was just I saw an opportunity. When I was a kid, I used to watch Tough Enough, and I was like, man, I think I could be on there. So once WWE posted it, I thought I was gonna make it, and then I got an interview, and then I just sat around and waited until like the Monday Night Raw when they announced it, and didn't find out until then.
Steve, if you're watching, you missed one.
I could be what Pat McAfee was. What if they would have gave me the Velveteen Dream gimmick? I would have killed it.
Oh my God.
Man.
Man, you'd have been the biggest. You would have been the biggest that would have made you the biggest a-hole in all of sport. You would have been far more extravagant than Dennis Rodman was when he joined the NWO.
I'm throwing the boas on. I'm doing everything.
Man, that would have been just. I could see you doing it, but just like I feel like if you were Velveteen Dream, you probably would have. It would have been some type of fight at some point during the show between wrestler and audience.
That's always something that could happen.
So, based on what you're saying, you make it sound like you're an NXT fan. Do I have that correct, Quan?
I do. I watch the main roster more than NXT. I enjoy NXT. I don't follow it as much as I do Raw and SmackDown.
Raw and SmackDown have just gotten too cheesy for me. Like they use the surprise roll up too often, and like the disqualification finish or the distraction finish. I'm like, can you just give me a clean finish, please?
It's way too much going on, man.
That's why I personally enjoy AEW, All Elite Wrestling, more because they don't have all these stupid gimmicky matches. It's like, hey, you want a match that's gonna actually be exciting?
Yeah.
And like at the next pay-per-view, Cody Rhodes is freaking fighting Shaq. What the fuck?
Wait, what?
Yeah. Cody got a match with Shaq.
Wow.
And I'm actually in one of my wrestling groups reading that. Somebody has said, so at the next AEW PPV,
which
Cody
I think is called like Ascension or something. I'm pretty sure it's called like AEW.
We're talking about like Shaq, right?
As far as I know,
yes, the guy who won titles in Miami and in Los Angeles. Yes, that's Shaq.
And said he was gonna bring one to Cleveland, but never did. All he brought was his shoes to our Walmart.
Shaq shoes, yes.
Okay.
Mel,
we are.
Wait, Mel. Before, there's one thing. That was the year LeBron hurt his elbow.
Hey man, leave LeBron alone.
Oh man.
We're not gonna touch that.
Again,
that's hard.
Hurt his elbow. Right.
Yeah, that was.
Okay, well, while we got you both on here, we're actually going to get into our. Well, actually, I think take that back because what's life like for you now after retirement in TPS?
Um, I have fun, man. I just make videos that are fun to me, and I'm doing one thing that I'm really keen on. Like I'm really excited about is the game show that I do on Fridays. It's called Take a Guess, 10 questions. We play it live on YouTube, and I give away T-shirts to my fans just to for their participation. So it's something that I want to grow and I really enjoyed Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and stuff like that with my grandma. So I always wanted to be a game show host, kind of. So Take a Guess is something that I do and I really enjoy doing. I also like my Lions fans videos. Back in 2015, when I first started my company, I tried to be a content creator and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I started making videos about my reactions to the Lions and they never really popped off. So I kind of got away from them. And then I saw like Scooter Magruder and all those guys pick up. Yeah, once I got away from TPS, I figured I'd start doing my Lions videos again. But creating content is my thing, and I'm trying to get into filmmaking. I'm in film school right now, and I'm shooting a documentary. I'm shooting a couple documentaries right now. So just create content and trying to grow to be a media mogul, man. I like being on camera. I like having fun. I like seeing guys like you put stuff together like this. I think you guys got something going, and I want to be able to show people how to do this and create a revenue stream and be their own. Like this is freedom. This is the most freedom I've experienced. So being able to teach people how to get out of the captivity and the slavery of a 9 to 5 and giving them an avenue and teaching them about filmmaking. Like everything that I learned from TPS or everything you saw me do on TPS, that was through me learning how to be a filmmaker. So film school and sitting on YouTube and watching videos and trying to get better. That's what I'm about. It's about constant improvement and I enjoy I love what I do, man. I be in between takes, laughing at myself because if I don't believe my BS, who will?
So, so I kind of share the same thing. Like, I didn't start out actually as a Cleveland Browns YouTuber. I just kind of started out as being a general YouTuber. But I watched guys like Gangrene David, he's a big-time New York Jets YouTuber. Norbcam, big-time Seattle Seahawks YouTuber. And at the time, I didn't really see anybody doing like content for the Cleveland Browns, like a fan reaction, like what you were talking about, Quan.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why don't I try doing that? And at first, actually, my channel wasn't called Ungar to the Max. It was actually called Wine and Gold Ungar because, I'm also a huge Cleveland Cavaliers fan. But then...
Yes, first, man. You just going to admit that you're a Brown fan? That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's hard being a Browns fan. I'll admit that.
But saying that dude who was a Jets fan. I never admit that.
No, he loves making Jets content and stuff. Well, I don't know if he loves making Jets content right now, but anyway, yeah. So this season, anyway, like my lifetime or my goal is to do a video collaboration with another YouTuber for every game on the Browns schedule, and so far I've done that. The remainder of the season might be in a little bit of jeopardy, though. No pun intended. Rest in peace, Alex Trebek. But as of right now, I'm scheduled to get jaw surgery on December 2nd, which would mean like I'm not able to talk because, my mouth would be not stapled shut, but like rubber banded shut. So, or not all the way shut, but to the point where I wouldn't be able to talk and, make general content. So which
you know it's always a way around that, but I'm gonna tell you that off the air. I got a good plan for you.
so like I've done in the past seasons before this year, I've done like maybe 1 or 2 video collaborations, but this season I'm like, hey, I want to go for it, and I've done it for every game. I'm already talking to an Eagles YouTuber for next week. I'm already talking to a Jaguars YouTuber for the week after. Yeah. So, but Quan, you said you're a Lions YouTuber, correct?
I don't want to classify myself as that because.
Oh, why not, man?
Well, I cover everything. I have a Lions themed show, but I cover everything. I mainly cover the Lions, but I'm not going to classify myself as a Lions YouTuber. Listen, I already have enough affiliation with that team.
Notice how he's not claiming the Lions per se. He's treating the Lions right now like that
like a sidekick.
Like
this is a horrible team. I don't want to be seen in public with that stuff.
Not even the side chick, that ugly girl that you used to mess around with in your early 20s.
Kissed her one time, bro.
You didn't want nobody to know about.
Stop following me home.
No, but the reason
I didn't talk to her, man. I'm telling you, I'll kill you.
Please believe me.
No, but the reason I'm asking you that is because next season the AFC North plays the NFC North, which means which means the Browns play the Lions, Bears, Packers, and Vikings. So
me and you to the max. It's a collab. It's a bet.
All right. So we're signing the deal now. Like
we're signing the.
All right. We can't.
Virtual handshake.
Virtual handshake.
All right. Well, just so you know, the game's going to be here in Cleveland. So if you want to come on my show, that's fine. Or if you want me to come on your show, whatever works for you.
I got you.
He won't be wearing any Lions gear. You can believe that.
But if it's a Browns-Lions video, he's got to be wearing Lions
I got
stuff.
you.
Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense.
Well, since you brought up the NFL, that's our first topic for today. While we got Quan on the air with us. The Lions beat the Washington Redskins. I'm not calling them the Washington football team. I don't care.
Offensive, man. You got to call them the football team.
I do not care. This is our show. This is our show. We will say whatever we want, and I'm saying the Redskins. They can't fight. You can't suspend me. What they gonna do? Anyway, Lions win 30-27.
That's your decision, but I respectfully choose not to say that name.
I will say it. But Quan, I wanted your thoughts on the Lions because you had said earlier that it was you weren't happy about it because, late field goal to win the game. What did you see that you didn't like that just stood out to you about the Lions today?
One play that I can honestly say that, can I curse on here?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
It was 3rd and 13, and I think the football team was on the other side. They were on their 14-yard line, and they called for man coverage, and it was 3rd and 13. DeQwan was pressed, and there was underneath coverage. So you're telling me on 3rd and 13, you're going to send your corner up to press when we're in the late stages of the game and all you have to do is stop a first down. Lo and behold, they get the first down off of a corner route or an out route to the guy that DeQuan's covering. So that defense is probably one of the worst defenses I've ever watched in my life. I give a lot of crap to Darrell Bevel. He calls a terrible game sometimes, terrible. Swift was getting 10 yards a pop, and he went to play action on 1st and 10. I'll never understand it. But that defense is just horrible. That would have been the 9th double-digit lead they gave up this season alone. I think they're on double-digit lead number 12 that they've given up. It's just terrible, man. And Stafford played a great game. he bounced back from last week where he played terribly, and he's got to shoulder the blame because like you got to put up 30 points a game with that defense that the Lions have because they are absolute garbage. They'll come out, they'll get a couple stops in the first quarter, and then after they leave halftime, whatever adjustments they make, they're horrible.
Which is weird because Patricia was the Patriots' defensive coordinator, so you would think the Lions would have a good defense.
Throw that title in the garbage. That he does not deserve to be recognized for that at all. He is trash. Like I don't know if he's calling the defense directly, but that man is garbage. He couldn't stop a nosebleed in a nosebleed stopping factory.
Would you say he's worse than Eric Mangina?
Yeah. I would too. At this point, I would.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow, that's bad.
The only reason he has victory is because Stafford has bailed him out. Stafford and Prater on comeback victories. Those are the only reasons that the Lions have won the last 3 years.
Dang.
I mean, I remember Mangini was somewhat successful with the Browns, but a little bit.
Patricia should have been fired after the bye week. First, actually, after they lost the Bears game, I would have fired him.
Current quick score update. At start of the second quarter on Sunday Night Football, Baltimore and New England are tied with no points.
No one cares. That's why I didn't update it yet. Browns. We got Browns. We got Steelers. Well, Steelers right here. Browns over here. Right. Lions somewhat. No one cares. We'll see them again.
Hey, I just wanted to inform our audience. Am I not allowed to do that?
Well, no, you're cool. That's humor, man. We care, but I mean, we care, but you got to understand. At this point, the second half of the season, number one. So all of these games that everybody's watching now, they're going to be defensive more than they are offensive. Me and Ronnie had talked about this before. I had already said, COVID messed up a lot of stuff.
Man.
No preseason. Training camp sucked. You could only touch your teammate by hitting them like 6 times a practice or 6 times throughout the course of training camp. It was going to be a lot of teams that got exposed. We'll get to that when we talk about college football, but while we have Quan on, I wanted to get his thoughts on the Lions. And, we're going to roll down because the next game I brought up is the next game that the Browns are going to see next week, which is the Eagles and Giant game.
Ooh.
Now, here's why I wanted to talk about this game with Quan on the air. The Eagles are leading. They're leading the division. How? It's got to be an act of the football guy. It's got to be. But what are you seeing?
Trash.
In the
NFC.
There's no good football there. Like Jason Garrett trying to get Daniel Jones together. No, it's not good football. The Cowboys are injury plagued. Washington, they're not good. Like the Lions aren't good, but like the fact that Washington was in the game and all that stuff, they're not good. Alex Smith, it's miraculous what he's doing, but don't nobody want to see that. Like, I'd be concerned for him and his health and all that, but I mean, he played a great game. They threw the ball 55 times. He was 38-55. And then I don't know what's going on with the Eagles. That's like a Super Bowl hangover when you win it. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't explain them either, man.
And that was my thing because, Josh, we had talked.
Huh?
And I said, me and Josh had talked about this a couple of days ago, and you said when you were saying you were worried about the Texans beating the Browns, and my thing is this because I'm curious. Do you see the Browns losing to the Eagles this coming week, Josh?
Both teams are so hot and cold. Like you, week to week, you don't know which team is going to show up. Like, and I think that statement that I just made is so apropos for the two quarterbacks involved in this game next week. Like
Yeah.
with Baker Mayfield, he could come out and have a miraculous 5-touchdown performance like what he had against Cincinnati, which, of course, that was the game that started the whole, is Baker Mayfield better off without Odell Beckham Jr., blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily get into that, but all I will say with that topic is, like, maybe he does play better when he doesn't have like a superstar wide receiver. Like, yeah, Jarvis Landry is a wide receiver a lot of football fans know, and like the name Jarvis Landry, but he's not at the same level on the stardom pole, if you will, as an Odell. So that's all. Again, I don't want to change the conversation, but I just wanted to make that point. But, the Browns were in a position to take Carson Wentz before we trade that pick to Philadelphia. And, of course, the next year we could have drafted Deshaun Watson. But what happens? We trade that pick to Houston. And then I've heard reports recently that we actually wanted to take Patrick Mahomes, which is why we traded that pick to Houston. I can't confirm or deny. I'm just saying I've heard that report. But obviously we did not, because John Dorsey in Kansas City beat us to it. And maybe that's why they traded up, because they knew the Browns had an interest. And, of course, we ended up with Baker Mayfield. And he's been so Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Now, Mel, I got to give you credit, and I totally agree with you on this. He's had, when he came into the league, Hugh Jackson was his head coach, and Todd Haley was his offensive coordinator. About halfway through the season, Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson are dismissed. I think it was after the Pittsburgh game. Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens become interim head coach and interim offensive coordinator. And Baker did pretty well the rest of that season. He had some ups and downs, but every rookie quarterback, for the most part, has ups and downs. It's kind of a standard. I'm sure there are exceptions to that statement, but for the most part, every rookie quarterback has their ups and downs. And then what happened? Huh?
You're right.
And then in 2019, we hire Freddie Kitchens as the head coach, which I thought was a really stupid move because I want you to understand this. Before he was interim offensive coordinator, Freddie Kitchens was, he was either the quarterback's coach or running back's coach. One of the
running back.
Running backs? Okay, thank you. And then he goes from running backs coach to interim offensive coordinator to a head coach in the span of less than a year. I think it was only like 8 months, if I remember correctly. I might be a little bit off on the timing, but you get what I mean. And, we make all these moves. Like, we trade for Odell Beckham Jr., we trade for Olivier Vernon, Sheldon Richardson. We make all these moves and this and that. And people are saying, the Browns are going to win the AFC North. They're going to go to the AFC Championship game, blah, 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 blah. I was not one of those Browns fans.
Me neither.
I consider myself to be a Browns fan, yes, as you can see, but I'm an objective Browns fan. Like, I'm not going to pick the Browns for every game to win if I don't think they're going to. Like, for example, this season, I actually picked the Colts to win in Week 5 when we played Indy, because the Colts at the time had like the number 1 defense in the league or something, I just didn't think it was that had me nervous, and I'm like, I don't know if the Browns are ready for a step up and challenge like that. Now, obviously,
not to cut you off, but truth be told, that wasn't really a step up. Now, granted, don't get me wrong, Colts did have the number one defense going into that game. You got to take something into consideration. That offense is not what it's looking like right now at the current moment.
Correct.
Which means,
yeah.
But again, I picked the Colts more because of their defense, not necessarily because of their offense.
Well, at the time too, don't forget the Browns were averaging 34 points a game at the time. So when they got into that game, the Browns had an advantage as far as scoring was concerned, because it wasn't like they couldn't score. It's just how much could they score, and that's why the Browns are so Jekyll and Hyde on offense right now, because pretty much everybody's figured it out. It's either Chubb or at the time it was either Chubb, Kareem, or Dale or Jarvis. They hadn't really instituted tight ends like they should have at the beginning of the season. They probably do 7-2 right now, but whatever. But
okay, but and then in 2019, like I explained, we get all these moves. We're on prime time, and we go 6-10, and Baker seemed to take a step back. Now, again, it might have been from hiring Freddie Kitchens as head coach and trying to institute it.
Oh yeah, it was Kitchens. Oh,
it was.
Or it might have partially been because of sophomore slump. I don't want to pin it to one specific thing. I'm not like I would say I'm not a football expert as much as you guys are, because you guys all played the game and stuff. I did not play football, so you guys have more experience and you have a little bit of a
understanding.
Yeah.
Better understanding of it. Yeah. That's not to say I don't understand the game. But
it's an easy game to learn once you've been around it for so long.
Right. Like, I've watched a lot of football, so I've gotten to understand some of the ins and outs, but I'm not going to understand it as much as you guys are, which is totally fine. Like, I love talking with Mel on the phone at night and, like, learning some of this stuff. Like, but, like, and then this season we hire Stefanski, which we should have done last season, but whatever. And he brings in the same offense he ran in Minnesota. Minnesota. Sorry, I was tripping over my words a little bit. And it's like, okay, Baker, you're the number one overall pick, which at this point I'm not sure he was worth the number one overall pick, but that's neither here nor there. All I'm saying is, for me at least, the jury is still out on him. I can't definitively say he is the Browns quarterback of the future. Even though he's playing decent this season, I'm still not sure. But Stefanski says, okay, Baker, you don't need to throw it 50 to 60 times to win. Like, you have a good tandem of running backs behind you in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Let's let them carry the workload, and we can build our passing game off of that. And that's what I've seen be effective for Baker this season. I don't know if you guys see it the same way, but when I've seen him have success in the passing game, whether it's passing to his wide receivers or his tight ends, what I've seen is he's better coming off of the play action and sort of running the bootleg, where he's not standing like a statue in the pocket. Do you guys see it that same way, or do you think I'm a little bit off in my analysis? And if you do, that's fire.
No, I wouldn't say off. I mean, for him, we've seen him have a lot more success, obviously, like in the shotgun and stuff like that, which is something that he was successful at when he was at Oklahoma. And then also, with regards to that, when he has his weapons to throw to, if he's able to spread it out more, that's when he's the most efficient. So it's funny because I feel bad bringing this up because you said that you didn't really want to get into it that much. But when it comes to like Odell, I was talking to Mel about this last week. Dude's like a heavy target.
Don't worry
You know what
about
I'm
it.
saying?
Yeah.
But he's like a real big target. You know what I mean? So the thing is, if
You
you're
mean
like a
because
defensive,
of his stardom level,
They're
right?
gonna game plan for Odell.
yes,
He
yeah,
has
it's a
to
game
play
plan out
every
there.
go.
Yeah, that's the thing, because like he's that guy who you're gonna always be looking
Aware of.
for in the defense. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Always aware of on the field. And the thing is, he's not somebody you can let like take your eyes off of at any point during the game because he's gonna have a big play or something like that. But when you take him out and you don't have those 8 different targets going to him per game, all of a
Yeah,
sudden it's like you guys spread it out and you have to use your, football IQ, your accuracy, all that kind of stuff comes into play because now all of a sudden you see guys like Harrison Bryant, emerging, even though I know Hooper was out with appendectomy or whatever the appendectomy he had. At the same
I think
time, like
playing today, if I remember correctly.
yeah, he played today. Oh yeah, for sure he's out there. It was good to see him back,
Okay, okay.
But
Continue.
like with guys like Harrison Bryant, getting the ball more now. You got more plays come out the backfield and taking some more chances, doing some short yardage stuff with like different screens and other packages you haven't seen, or him just doing more of a bootleg or rolling out of the pocket because he excels at that too as well. Actually, because my thing is like, quite honestly, they have a line where he can have a little bit more time in the pocket, but he's just not that dude. Like he's not that pocket presence type of QB where you want him to be standing in there and have 4 seconds to make a decision. Whenever I see him like that, I get afraid every single time. I'm like, oh man, let's see what he's about to do. Like what does he see? I hope he don't see who I think he see. And it's just like, as soon as that ball goes from his hand, I'm like, oh snap. Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh snap! Okay, cool. All right, good. All right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, I gotta take off, guys. Appreciate y'all having me on the show, man.
No problem. You welcome back anytime,
Definitely.
man.
I'll be back.
Good having you, Quan.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about more stuff. Ungar to the max. The collab is on for next year.
Got you.
All right, we'll be in contact.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Quan. Take care, bro.
Yep.
Okay, that was DeQwan Young. Nice guy, stand-up guy, good friend of mine, good friend of the show too. But I did want to interject on something because I wanted you guys to think about this while I'm saying it and while it's on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget. Yes, Baker has been hot and cold this season, but I want everybody to take into consideration not the circumstances he's been part of. I want everybody to take a step into the circumstances he's part of now. What I mean by that is Kevin Stefanski's offense is designed to basically manage the game. If you look at Minnesota last year, 2018, Minnesota's offense and the weapons that they had, Alvin Cook, Case Keenum to a degree, and then the other guy who's got $90 million in his pocket.
Adam Thielen.
Yeah, him. Because you got to remember, this offense was coming to Cleveland. He knew what he had. So all he did, he didn't dumb down. He didn't dumb down the playbook. What he did was he's playing the Baker's strength. And granted, it's been shown Baker's not good completely at scanning the field. Now, can he manage the game? Of course, it's been shown to do a great job of managing the game. But in this offense, what he's supposed to do is just distribute the ball equally.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, use your tight ends, use Hooper and Njoku, use Kareem out of the backfield, use Chubb out of the backfield, use Jarvis and Higgins. The problem is coming where nobody has stepped up where Odell is supposed to be.
Yep.
Which is why, and I don't know if anybody's really been paying attention to this, but when you see Jarvis is now doing a lot more than he's supposed to. He's making his job harder than it needs to be.
He doesn't have. I read this stat on the NFL app. Sorry for interjecting, but
it's cool.
He does not have a touchdown reception in his last 9 games. Jarvis doesn't. Yeah, I think I read that on the post game thing for today's game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes you know what that makes sense though, because because they called that one last week that he could have had.
Call it.
They called that one back. So dang, that's true
Here's,
though.
but here's the thing, though. I mean, Jarvis traditionally is a slot receiver. So with that
Yep.
being said,
hmm
slot receivers generally get hit more. Not hit, but like hit with double coverages, linebacker scrapes.
Yeah.
So it's always a matter of can we really keep him out of the spotlight. So I feel like when Odell went down, Jarvis felt like it needed to be all on him, and it doesn't. And it's showing that he's
Nope.
doing too much on the field as far as
Yeah.
trying to, pick up Odell's slack, and he doesn't have to do that.
Nope.
But because Odell is down and nobody else has stepped up, no, not Higgins, not Peoples-Jones,
See.
it's become a problem, and that's
Right.
where the solution and the problem should run together. With one of these dudes got to step up. Yes, Peoples-Jones caught the game-winning touchdown pass in Cincy, but Higgins and Jones, I don't know what they're doing in Berea as far as seeing how they could put them on the field all together, but
Mhm.
come the rest of the season, come round 2 with Pittsburgh and round 2 with Baltimore, it's gonna have to be a thing where these guys are on the field, because
Right.
that's gonna tell you come playoff time whether they're in or not.
By the way, it's for Jarvis. It's the first 9 games of this season, not just So I said that a little bit wrong. It's Jarvis, according to NFL app. Jarvis Landry does not have a receiving touchdown in 9 games this season. It's the longest single season drought of his career. So I just wanted to correct myself on that. It's not his last 9 games. It's the first 9 games of this season.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, though. I know he wants his touchdowns. Everybody does. But
but you don't see him complaining like, why am I not getting any touchdowns? Like, I haven't heard anything out of the Browns locker room, or
And you're not going to hear it from Jarvis. You're going to hear it from Odell. But what I'm saying is it's not necessarily a bad thing, because 1, they're winning. 2, he's still a threat. And I know people don't believe me, and I know Browns fans who hate the way the offense looks right now is going to be like, oh, he's still on the field. He needs to produce more. He's doing his job. He's just, as
You're
a
right.
player, he's doing too much where he doesn't have to. A lot of players.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
I'm about to right now. Ronnie, you've been on the field with me. I've been on the field with you. You've been on the field with certain people who are not, no longer in the NFL or have been to the NFL. There always is a moment where, when one person goes down to injury, that kicked off the team, whatever the case is, they're no longer on the field with us. We feel like, as players, we have to pick up the slack. Odell's been down. Now, with this, he's not coming back. I doubt we see him in a Browns uniform again this year. Hate to say it like that, or not this year, but next year. Hate to say it like that, but it is a highly probable he will not be a Brown next year.
I would agree with you on that statement.
So when he's down and you are part of a receiving corps that has helped score in the upper echelon of 35 points a game through 5 of your 6 wins, you feel like shit may fall apart. Without him, who do we have to step up? You have a lot of talent around you in that area. Receivers, Peoples-Jones is not a bad receiver. Higgins has been quiet, and he still showed out.
Yep.
And you have 3 tight ends, not 2, 3 tight ends that you have absolutely trusted and they have come through for you. And Njoku has showed, he may be gone this year too, but he showed he has some value now. So
right, we talked about him. You and I talked about him saying like trade me, and how maybe that's not actually legit. It's just his way of saying sorry about that. I want to be involved more in the offense. I think that's what you told me the other day.
And he has been, and he's gotten touchdowns. He's gotten big plays out of doing what he asked to do in the first place, which was be on the field. Now, in Jarvis's mind, because I've been a receiver, I hated it, but I've done it. There is a point where we feel like when our star receiver is down, we have to pick up the slack, because we don't pick up the slack, nobody else will. And in Jarvis's case, this has been the case the last 3 games that I've counted. The Raiders game especially. He drops a couple passes. He's hard on himself. You're trying to move the ball, and they end up losing the game.
I was at that game. It was horrible weather conditions. It's
Cleveland, man. It's Cleveland. If it was Arizona, it'd be a different story. But it's Cleveland. This weather is not going to change come October, November. It's not. It's going to get worse.
Dude, I honestly wish First Energy Stadium was a dome stadium. It's so stupid that it's not. Like, if we had
Yeah.
And I hate to say that. It will never happen. And I hate to say that. Here's why it will never happen. And I know people are going to look at me crazy. It's never going to happen. You know why? Because the Browns stigma is built around cold weather games, running the ball, and just having that outdoor atmosphere where the crowd is loud, the wind is swirling, and it's freezing like fuck off the lake because of lake effect snow and the wind. If you put Cleveland in the dome, the only thing Cleveland's going to be good for is hosting maybe one Super Bowl in that stadium's lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Because you figured, and the way it's set up right now, I mean, honestly, man, that's like having a 12th man on the field.
It is, especially dog pound.
I'll take that.
And that's what Cleveland wants. And truth be told, as a Steelers fan, I would love if the Steelers would get something like that, or would have had something like that. Yes, Heinz Field is loud. Having a 12th man, like, yes, Heinz Field is loud. It's noisy. The wind sometimes swirls off the rivers, but it's nothing like Cleveland.
But if you want the 12th man, I give you CenturyLink Field in Seattle or Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. There's your 12th man.
I give you one better than that. The Orange Bowl.
I thought you were going to say Texas A&M.
Nope, the Orange Bowl.
Miami?
Yes. Before they tore the stadium down, you did not want to go to the Orange Bowl. Trust me. I've seen that shake on TV. That place has shaken because it was so loud.
Same with the Oilers' old stadium.
The Astrodome? Not even.
I heard that it got extremely noisy. When the Oilers were in the Love Ya Blue era, I heard it was ridiculously hard to go into Houston and beat the Oilers. I learned about that when I watched a video about the history of the Tennessee Titans color scheme of light blue and dark blue.
Mm-hmm.
They talked about,
I wouldn't doubt that, but in a dome stadium, you gotta take into consideration 2 things. One, the loudness is going to be automatic. It's going to be there by default because you're in an enclosed space and you can't escape it.
True.
If you're outside at Cleveland or you're outside at the Orange Bowl when it was up, think about how loud that stadium is, and you can't hear yourself, or you just can't hear what's going on in your helmet because of the people who are sitting 72 rows away, and you just, hey, what did you say, coach? I can't hear you. That's the kind of environment I want to play in. If you bring us home to Cleveland, you don't get that same thing. You get the dog pound, but it's not the same. I'm sorry.
Right. I think I watched a video about like the history of NFL stadiums and stuff. I think the term dog pound, if I remember correctly, originated when the Browns were playing the Broncos at like the old municipal stadium. I'm not and like one of the Broncos defenders called like the east end zone section of Browns fans like dogs or something. I think that's roughly the history of it. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. Also, fun fact, huh?
Actually came from the two defensive backs at the time.
Yeah, man.
Stanford Dixon and Frank Minifield, who they coined the dog pound because it was so riled down there for Denver.
That they actually had to move. It got so loud for Denver, they actually had to switch sides. I remember that.
And here's something a lot of people don't know. There is a rule in the NFL rule book where you can actually stop the game if you are not able to hear yourself or hear as a player. But it's up to the player's discretion.
Actually,
we use it often, but it's there.
First
like
Energy.
Just like eating the runner rule.
First Energy Stadium is actually built on the same spot where Municipal Stadium was standing before.
Why the Browns can't win anything. They're cursed.
And apparently, like, a ton of the wreckage from Municipal Stadium was put in Lake Erie to create an artificial reef.
As if we didn't have shit in Lake Erie.
For like the perch and walleye and the other like wildlife that lives there.
Man.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. That is as if we didn't have enough shit in Lake Erie, but still. We're gonna switch to NCAA and Smooth. I already know where you're going with this. I know you want to start off first, but go easy because I don't want to get yelled at about this.
Okay.
I want you to yell at me about this later.
I'm scared what topic we're starting off with then.
No, nothing bad. We're good. It's just I know he's at a point because he's a Georgia fan.
Oh, well, you'll love this move then.
I know he's at a point where
no
Gators, baby.
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
Hey, Josh, you should see. I took man. You about to get us all in trouble.
I will say this: it's not as bad as Auburn, though.
That's true.
Auburn's the worst, man.
Okay, well, I wanted to start with this because I wanted to hear your thoughts on it because everybody knows mine by now. OSU game with Maryland gets canceled. Now, per Big Ten rules, any game that's canceled will not be made up. Had this game been played, do you think it changes at all, or does it still stay as Ohio State's going into the game with Indiana undefeated?
I think it doesn't change anything. I think that OSU still would have, handled Maryland. They definitely would have been, I feel like, more of a challenge, though, than, Penn State this season. I hate to say that, but that's just what I'm seeing right now. You know what I mean? At the same time,
I'm a Penn State fan right now.
It's hey, man, look, it's hard, man. It's hard. It's really hard because you figure, me and Mel talked about this before, how there's that shift that's coming, right? And COVID just accelerated it, basically.
Yeah.
Because looking at the way the season's been right now and seeing how the Big Ten is panning out, we saw OSU on top, but now it's like a talk of, okay, OSU, Indiana, Northwestern, you know what I'm saying? Like, people aren't always saying, and Wisconsin being there, but like I wrote Michigan off for the rest of the season, like whatever. I wrote, Penn State
You
off,
can
unfortunately, rest of the
you can write
season.
you off.
Yeah,
Well, here's
I
the
mean,
thing. Here's the
so
thing. Not to cut you off, but Wisconsin's always been up there. The problem is back then they had to play Ohio State or they had to play Michigan
every year.
every year. That was the problem. And before the expansion, I want people to remember this. Before the expansion, the Big Ten was playing a 9 conference game schedule and would rotate who you played.
Hmm.
So
That's right.
Saw
when
everybody
you,
except for one team.
yeah. So before the expansion, it was Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, everybody else because you
Yep.
didn't know what you were going to get. Now it's Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio State because there's nobody in the East that's actually touching Ohio State. Now, because you brought up the shift, yes, COVID did accelerate this because I felt like Minnesota with PJ Fleck as head coach was coming up.
Hmm.
Northwestern, they hadn't been good since the 94, 95 season, the Rose Bowl years, but
They were just in the Big Ten conference title game like a few years ago.
by default, let me
They
tell
were a
you,
good
if
team that year.
they, how you a good team and you get beat on like that in the championship, man?
Ohio State was just at a different level.
Ohio State's always been at a different level when it comes to teams like Northwestern, Indiana, Purdue. I get it. I get what you're saying, but
For me then.
The
I get
issue
what
is the issue there was like just who Ohio State had beat because you figure all the teams they had to play from the other side of the division or other side of the conference, I should say, they knocked them out I mean, they just knocked them out of the Big Ten
right.
championship game. I mean, I would
You
have
gotta
rather seen them play Minnesota. Like that, I was sitting
and you
there
got
like
what you
Northwestern,
gotta
like
understand this year too. You gotta understand it. Northwestern beat Minnesota, which
see, that's
knocked
where,
Minnesota
yep. Because if you lose two on your end, that's it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
All
Minnesota lost.
conferences.
Yeah, and Minnesota lost to Michigan and Northwestern. If they beat Northwestern, they're in.
If
You know,
Minnesota had beat Wisconsin last year, they would have been in the Big Ten championship game instead of Wisconsin.
right. And Northwestern
Yep.
had no business being there. I'm sorry. Northwestern
No.
got in by
Oh.
default. If
Mm-mm.
if Wisconsin don't lose twice and Minnesota don't lose twice, you see Minnesota giving Ohio State a hell of a game instead of Northwestern just being a punching bag.
Yep.
I was
And the thing that helped Northwestern last year was the fact that they didn't have to play Ohio State during the season.
or I believe it was either Michigan or Michigan State. One of them that didn't have to play because of the conference rotation. So they ended up
Yep.
playing.
That helped them out a lot.
So okay, so I'm still going to disagree with you about Northwestern, but whatever. But let me just explain why I'm a Penn State fan. It's
It better
because
be a reason too, man.
no, I have a valid reason. So you remember all the scandals and stuff that they went through with Jerry Sandusky and Joe Paterno and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, that was
Right.
hard.
So I became a fan of them as they started to rise up and like overcome all that. Like I enjoyed watching like how they have overcome all the sanctions and all the scandals and the punishments that were put on them. And I think they lost some scholarships and I think they were like banned from postseason play in college football, something like that.
Yeah, it was a
And
lot.
yeah, and for me, I'm just like, well, they've risen up, and I know this season they suck, but in the past few years, they've become, I don't want to say one of the top programs in college football, but one of the better programs in college football. I'll say it like that. So that's why I'm a Penn State fan, because I just enjoyed watching how they were able to overcome everything that was associated with the Jerry Sandusky and situation and the Joe Paterno. I don't support what, huh?
I'll give you that. That's
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
I don't support what Jerry Sandusky did by any means.
Right.
So don't twist my words. I'm just saying I enjoyed watching how they were able to overcome that.
No, that's cool, man. Because you figure, like, yeah, because the thing is, like
Carter or something, or Kerry
Oh
Collins.
no, it's funny because I was like, okay, I gotta hear it because like just the whole mentality of somebody who is at that point have been beat down so much, like you said, all the different sanctions, no postseason play, losing scholarships, and just seeing the program in shambles after all of that tradition, because them having a tradition that goes years and years and years back, right? They've always been in the fight. It's always been them. The thing is, though, to have that happen, I know I questioned it myself. I was like, are they even going to be able to rise back up to what they were under Paterno and all the other people that have come through there and the different players that we've seen come through that program? So that's just like, okay, you get knocked all the way down. You only got one way to go once you hit rock bottom, right? So
Correct.
the thing is to see them come back up like that so quickly, I would say it was pretty good. I mean, because you figure they had to get a whole new identity, really.
Right.
A whole new identity. I mean, of course, they got some traditions that's not going to go anywhere, like kind of what they do with the whiteout and stuff like that. Yeah, that stuff's always going to be there. But in terms of like, them having the coach run out with them and Joe being there and all that other stuff, like they had to kind of wash all of that, whatever statues coming down, and it was a whole new thing. Right?
That part was crazy that they had to take down the Joe Paterno statue after.
Yeah, man.
Like, I understand why they did it, like, because of his role and all that, but it just kind of felt, I hate to say it, but I can't think of a better word. It just felt sacrilegious in a way after all that he had done to help build up that program. And just to have it all, like, be torn down like that was, heartbreaking. And just so you know, the reason I'm a Gators fan is because I have a cousin who is a massive Florida fan, and my uncle went to Florida, and so it just kind of rubbed off on me. So that's why I'm a Gators fan and a Penn State fan. I'm not.
Oh, that's cool, man. I'm the same way. My aunt.
Go take a shower and rub that Gator stigma off you, man.
No way. I'm not. So no, I just wanted to point out that I'm not a bandwagon fan for either team.
Oh, that's fine. We all fans.
That's what's up. Definitely, yeah, man.
I did want to touch this subject while we're on NCAA because to me this was very important, and I know it was important to the people who are there and affiliated with the school. Now, yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the 1970 Marshall plane crash, in which 35 players of the team and several coaches all passed away in the plane crash heading back from Eastern Carolina. The team won yesterday, 42-14, wearing all black uniforms. What were your thoughts on that, as far as celebration and honoring the fallen and how they handled the whole day?
I think they were wearing like a 72 patch on their helmet or on their jersey as well, if I remember correctly.
I didn't get a chance to see the game completely. By the time I looked at it, it was 42-7. So I just was like, okay, this game's over. But I did catch that it was, the anniversary, which was, it was emotional because I've had teammates pass away, and the movie was so emotional and moving.
The movie was great.
I did not see the movie. What's the movie called? I would like to watch it.
We Are Marshall.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's got Matthew McConaughey in it.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check it out.
This was actually what gave way to freshmen playing football, varsity football rather, in D1, because back in the 70s, freshmen weren't allowed to play, but because of the team, most of the team passing away, all that was left was freshmen. So They went to the school. The school went to the NCAA and was, pleading their case because more. It's a small town. When you got a small town, you don't have a lot. Football's there. That's what you do. So, I thought it was a nice gesture. I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. Uh, I felt like that was needed for that,
Yeah.
not only for the school but for the day, because when you see stuff like that, it brings you back to perspective that it's not just football to everybody. It's more of a way of life because that was part of your life growing up.
I don't know much about it, so I can't really comment.
I'll say this is what I'll say. For that, I felt like they definitely, played their butts off for sure, right? They went to that game. They knew what it was. They knew the anniversary was coming up. I would even go on record and say that they probably dedicated this season to them. The way that they're playing this season, like there's got to be some kind of charge there.
Aren't they ranked in the top 25?
Yes, they are.
And we're going to get to
been for a long time.
As soon as Ronnie, we're going to get to that too because that's a surprise I wanted to bring up to you.
So, and the thing is, man, with them, like, I think back of the time when, like you said, that happened to them, the time when they spent, in the MAC, because they used to be a part of the MAC as well. And then also, bro. And then, of course, you got different players. The great Randy Moss, right? Went to Marshall, and you got Chad Pennington and Byron Leftwich.
You mean the Randy Moss that played for Minnesota?
The Randy. Yep,
I keep forgetting.
Absolutely.
Josh is younger than us. I'm sorry, Josh. Yes. We got to explain this stuff to him. Yes.
Randy Moss.
He's my favorite wide receiver of all time. Hands down, no questions asked. My favorite wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's everybody's favorite receiver. No question. But yes, he went to Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
He should not have. I'm glad he went into the Hall of Fame, but I hate that it was all. I believe he was in the same Hall of Fame class as Terrell Owens. I was not happy about that.
I was. Why not? Those are the two best receivers of that era.
I personally did not want Terrell Owens in the Hall of Fame, but whatever.
A lot of people didn't, but you can't deny the man's talent. That man did a lot on the field that was almost unmatched.
Yeah, that's true. Because then a lot of people could, say the same thing about like LT.
You mean LaDainian Tomlinson? Or do you mean Lawrence Taylor?
Lawrence Taylor.
Okay.
No, because the thing is, like, with him, because the thing is, what people do, like, off the field or, their antics and stuff like that, it definitely lessens you as a fan favorite for sure. But what they've done and their impact on the game, that's where it comes down to it. Because you got some folks out here who may have never won a title, but their impact on the game is so strong, or they've done so much to, change the way it's played, or even certain rules now that have been implemented are because of these people, and you got to put them in. Like, you have to put them in. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Speaking of which, I can't wait for this one because I think Peyton's on the ballot, and we know he's gonna get top vote, first ballot, first votes. That man's in. Like, we can't argue.
Okay, what about his brother Eli? Is he a Hall of Famer?
Hell no.
No. And it's crazy because he's the only quarterback to beat Brady twice in the Super Bowl, and he won't get in.
No, he'll get in, but it will be late. You think he'll get in?
Oh, it'll be real late. Bro,
hear me out.
My son will be in college when he get in, dog.
Hear me out.
The only reason Eli Manning is going to get in the Hall of Fame is because he beat Brady in those two Super Bowls. That's the only reason he's getting to be in the Hall of Fame. Other than that, no, I agree. He does not deserve a gold jacket.
I disagree. I'm going to say this. Remember, Ronnie, how we had the conversation of what is your impact on the game that you deserve to be in with or in the Hall of Fame or get voted in. Here's my thing.
Okay.
When Eli got there, the Giants were sledging. The last Super Bowl they got to before he took them, they got beat on by the Ravens. Now you fast forward.
Oh, Kerry Collins. Oh,
Now
yeah.
you fast
Ray
forward.
Lewis.
Now hear me out. Hear me out. You fast forward. You get to Jared Lorenzen and Eli being on the team. You get Tiki being a running back. You get
Brandon Jacobs.
not Brandon Jacobs. That's not who I was talking about. But thank you. Who that? Michael Strahan. His last year, he goes out on top. He helped get these guys there, and when they got there, they performed for him. Because let's call it what it is. Eli is not the most accurate quarterback. He's not the best passer, but what he did do was keep the game in reach. And that means a lot as a quarterback. If you can keep the game in reach, your defense can take over, or you are able to get your playmakers the ball so they can make the plays that win the game. That's what Eli did. And it's not perfect. It wasn't pretty, but he got it done.
True.
Beating Brady was an added bonus. Beating him twice, hell, you could just call it quits after beating him the second time. But the fact that he was able to do this for such a long time in a city that is not welcoming if you fuck up or if you stink.
True.
You got to remember, New York hates people who stink. The Giants, the Jets, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Knicks. If you stink, they're going to let you know.
Correct. I know.
And I'm glad. And I'm glad Spike Lee don't have season tickets to the Giants or the Jets. I can only imagine what he'd be yelling at the 50-yard line.
Oh, man.
But, yeah. Well, he won't be at the games this season because the Giants and Jets aren't allowing fans, which I guess is a good thing.
That don't mean he wouldn't write a letter.
Oh, yeah. He'll definitely make his voice heard.
Yeah.
No,
Spike will let you know. He'll find a way to let you know. He'll make a commercial about it.
Right.
Spike Lee get in trouble with Dolan for something at Madison Square Garden.
I have to look that up.
You have to look that up. There was something that did occur, though. Yeah, for sure.
But my point with this is that Eli, he'll more than likely get in because honestly, at that point, it'll be the family thing. And I hate to say it like that, but you got to remember, Archie's in, if I'm not mistaken. Peyton's going in. All three of them were great passers of their era. Archie just happened to be the one that was cursed with bad teams.
Right.
The lineage will be there because they'll more than likely probably be the first family in the Hall of Fame. On top of that, Peyton and Eli have rings. Peyton's going in as the most prolific passer in all of football, pro, college. You know, yes, statistically, Drew has it, but Peyton's impact is undeniable. So Eli's next step was, I did what my brother couldn't do. I beat his enemy. Not only that, I beat him twice. So yes, that's
3 times actually, because I remember the Giants beat the Patriots in a regular season game in New England in 2000. I'm just pointing that out. No,
he did, but Tom don't care about that. Tom care about Super Bowls.
I'm just enhancing your point, though. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate it, but that's probably the reason he'll get in, and it'll be late, but he will get in, and that will more than likely, to me, in my personal opinion, that'll be the reason. Lineage, and he beat Brady.
So I know, we're trying to stay on the topic of NCAA football and stuff, but we're talking about the Mannings and Super Bowls and Hall of Fame and stuff. I like asking this question to people I do video collaborations with. So a lot of times when a team wins the Super Bowl, automatically the Super Bowl MVP award is given to the quarterback, whether it's Patrick Mahomes from last year or Nick Foles from Super Bowl 52. I believe Ben Roethlisberger won it for Super Bowl 40, if I remember correctly. I could go on and on. So I guess my question is, do you think the quarterback should win Super Bowl MVP every time? I personally do not. I feel like it's a valid question.
Yeah, it depends because I know, like, I guess for me, it made sense when Mahomes won it, just based off of like the comeback they needed in order to beat San Francisco. Because it was funny, me and Mel were talking about that, and I had picked Kansas City for that game, and we were just saying how, like, to see a front four that was so athletic, right, on the defensive end, it was going to give Mahomes the biggest test of his, career so far, and also the season, going up against a defense like that, right? And the way that, Kyle Shanahan ran his offense and how good they were on the ground, they were literally physically wearing teams down, having to stop their run game and their scheme. So with Mahomes, it's like they had to rally behind him. They had to make him throw like 40 something times or whatever for him to win that game and to come back. And without him on the field, they essentially end up losing by like 20 points or something like that. So for that particular game, I would say, yeah. Now, there's been other times where I'm like, okay, I don't know if necessarily the quarterback should have won or something like that, but I feel like it's more so case by case. I don't feel like by default they should win it every time. That part I can definitely say. But case by case, I do feel like that's something to look into. But yeah, Mahomes definitely, for me, hands down, deserved that from the last one. But other than that, I would say it shouldn't by default fall to a QB,
Fair enough.
Default.
So I'm actually going to disagree with you on Mahomes. I get he led the comeback for the Chiefs. I totally understand that. And, I understand why he won Super Bowl MVP. But in my opinion, Damian Williams had the bigger impact on that game. I get it. The Chiefs didn't rely heavily on the run game throughout that season, and they didn't use Damian Williams a ton in the Super Bowl. But when he did run the ball, he would get 5 or 6 yards on a lot of his runs. And when you run the ball like a lot, it forces the linebackers and the safeties down into the box, and you have to respect the run. What does that do? That allows Mahomes to be like, oh, there's Tyreek Hill wide open. Bang. There's Travis Kelce wide open in the middle of the field. Let me just throw it to him. So for me, I just felt like this is not to discredit Patrick Mahomes, but yeah. I just felt like Damian Williams had the bigger impact on the game. So for me, I feel like Damian should have won Super Bowl MVP, but I agree it should not just automatically be the quarterback.
I'm torn. And here's why. Most times the MVP is given out, it is to the quarterback for a good reason. And
we're talking about specifically Super Bowl, not general MVP, but whatever.
I know. I hate bringing this up, but in the case of Tom Brady,
Super Bowl 49?
No, just period. If he doesn't, I'll give you the Rams, the Patriots Rams Super Bowl. If he doesn't,
which one? The first or second one?
The first one. If he doesn't get to, if he doesn't hit Troy Brown, or he doesn't hit not Troy Brown, David, was it David Patton? Whatever the case is, if he doesn't conduct that drive to get them in the field goal position, the field goal range, they don't win.
Correct.
The only reason, they were even able to keep up with St. Louis was because Bill Belichick, being a defensive-minded coach, he knew to do what everybody else wasn't doing, which was hit them. So if they hit them, they can't hold on to the ball. They can't do anything with it. They're not the greatest show on turf. But they were still down because Kurt Warner, who a lot of people don't agree with, but it shows, is just as good of a passer as anybody in the league at that time.
Hence why he's a Hall of Famer.
So if Brady isn't the short game quarterback that he is, which is really what he was when he got out, when he was at Michigan, he was a short game passer. It came over to Belichick, who actually knew how to utilize that. If they don't make that drive, are we talking about Brady winning 5 Super Bowls right now?
He actually has 6.
I don't count the last one.
Dude, okay. So
that last one was a gift. Man,
yeah, that was
God.
But to me, I think I'm with Ronnie on this, and it should be case by case. But the easiest thing for the committee to do is give it to the quarterback, because giving it to the quarterback is the easiest thing. Because remember, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure in 2010, when the Steelers and the Packers played in the Super Bowl and the Packers won, if I'm not mistaken, I think Woodson got that MVP.
I thought it was Aaron Rodgers.
We're going to look that one up. Yeah. Man, I gotta see that.
I think it was Aaron Rodgers, but I could be wrong.
We'll look that up. But either way, I feel like you need to be fair. If you're going to watch this, or not watch, but if you're going to watch the game with intent on picking the MVP, it needs to be shown who the impact player was. Like, they do it. You're right. Rodgers did get the MVP. My bad. But
okay.
My thing was, what play was, or who was part of the play that impacted the change in the game? It can't always be the quarterback. It can't.
No.
Because it's
nope.
easy.
Here's a good example of that.
Antonio Holmes, Super Bowl 43. Sorry if I took the words out of your mouth.
Are you talking about the Arizona game?
Yeah.
Yeah. That right there, that return, bruh. If that return doesn't happen, the Cardinals win.
You know,
that was the biggest momentum shift, man. That was like, I was sitting there like, wow, like, good luck coming back on this one, because that was the biggest momentum shift I ever seen. That was nuts. That was nuts.
James Harrison didn't win the Super Bowl MVP. It was Santonio Holmes.
And that's the thing. And Harrison, right? He should have. That's a good example right there, because that impact. And it's Harrison. Harrison is not running like a 4-3.
He's not running at all.
He's not running any speed that I know of. And the fact that he was not caught, it was just like, I don't know, man. That was that mentally for me. If I'm a player on that field, that shakes me a little bit. That shakes me a little bit. I'm sorry, I can't.
Because we got 2 more subjects on this topic I wanted to touch. Ronnie, I'm going to read these teams off to you and Josh. I want you guys to tell me where they rank, because we are still on NCAA. I'm going to read these teams off.
Sorry, we went off topic.
It's cool. I'm going to read these teams. I want you to tell me where they rank, or where you think they are ranked.
Okay.
Cincinnati, BYU, Indiana, Marshall, Coastal Carolina, and Northwestern. Those are the ones I'm going to read off right now.
And those are the ranks the ranks before yesterday?
These are the ranks after yesterday.
after yesterday. Okay.
I know Cincinnati is 7. That I know. BYU is 10. Indiana is 9. I know those 3. I don't know about Marshall and Coastal Carolina though.
Let's see. BYU, I thought they were single digit. I thought they were like 8. But then Indiana, I mean, shoot, after winning that game, considering how all the postponements and all that postponed games happen and all of that stuff, I would see them in the top 10, like breaking to like at least 9 after that game yesterday. And then Coastal Carolina,
The
I would say it's
Chanticleers.
they got to be like
This is gonna be good.
Coastal Carolina. I'm gonna guess like 19 with them. And then you said who else?
Northwestern.
Marshall.
Northwestern.
Marshall and Northwestern. Yeah, Marshall and Northwestern.
I forgot
Northwestern.
about Marshall and Northwestern.
I'll put Northwestern at like 12.
Okay. In theory, you guys would have been right about BYU and Cincinnati and Indiana, in theory. So I'm going to read off the rankings in order. 7, 8, and 9 goes Cincinnati, BYU, and Indiana, respectively.
I thought Indiana was 9.
They were 10 coming into the game.
10, but they won against Michigan State, so they dropped. BYU has been killing people, which is why they stay in the top 10.
Yeah,
Touchdown New England. They go up 19-10 now against Baltimore.
Yeah, they never thought.
Ooh. COVID.
Now, Marshall is at 15. And right behind them is Coastal Carolina at 16.
Coastal Carolina is 16. Wow.
Northwestern is 19. So somebody was 19. You were right, but it wasn't who you said it was. It was Northwestern.
Man. Okay.
Now, here's the surprise team of the top 25. I'm gonna give you a hint. Nobody expected this team, and we have been shouting them out a bit.
What conference?
They're independent, if I'm not mistaken.
You said independent.
Notre Dame, it's not Notre Dame because they're part of the ACC this season, and it's not BYU.
Let me check and make sure that they're independent first.
So you got me stumped on that one.
Yeah, because Notre Dame.
We have been shouting them out a bit, and yes, they are independent. I was right. So,
okay.
And again, shouting them out. We've been noticing them.
It's not BYU. It's not Notre Dame. Those are the. What other independent school is there?
You ready? I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna make it easy. Hold on.
It's gonna be hard.
I don't know.
I don't know either on that one.
Liberty.
Liberty. What?
Oh yeah, no. And this is gonna tie into the last subject.
They're independent now?
Yes, they've been independent.
Weren't they a part of the MAC for a little bit?
They'll probably end up going because in proximity they'll be close. But to me, the logical move if Liberty is to join a conference would either be the MAC or the ACC. I don't think they're ready for the ACC yet, but anything's possible considering Missouri and Texas A&M join the SEC. Anything's possible. But yeah,
Texas A&M, I'm fine with joining the SEC. Missouri makes no sense.
Oh, we talked about that last week. Oh man. Ooh.
Damn,
Oh.
I wish I had been there for that show then.
Ooh, you gonna make this extend like 40 minutes with that alone. Cause that man, oh man, ooh, kick them out.
This actually goes
Yeah.
into the next topic.
Dang.
You saw you guys saw the playoff picture
Mm-hmm.
from Reggie Bush, and
Yep.
it was in the event it's an extended playoff. That's what he feels like the playoffs would look like. Do you agree or disagree?
I could see those teams in there. I think I would rotate a couple of them ranking wise, but I could see those teams in there. It's because having an 8 team playoff, and like you said, it's definitely going to give a chance for an independent to be in there, which is cool. And then also, I guess the only questionable one is, do we see, 2 schools from Pac-12 in there? Because the thing is, like, that's the only question I had was like, would you see 2 Pac-12 schools in there? I don't know. You know what I mean? But like 2 ACCs and 2 SECs,
You'd
I
be
can see
great.
that happening.
You'd be lucky if you saw one Pac-12 team in there. Somebody's got to
Yeah,
win.
and that's
In
the
an
thing.
extended
Like,
in an extended playoff. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
The last time the Pac-12 had a team in the playoff was when Washington got smashed by Alabama.
Might have been.
Yep.
mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Utah had the opportunity.
Bring up Utah, man. God
Yeah,
damn.
that's so hard. That is so hard. Me
Bring
and
up
him were talking about
Utah.
this last year.
Oh my God,
They let me down too. We was like, they gonna go. We like, oh, because they were balling all season, all
And then they
season.
ran. And then they ran into Ducks. Then they ran into the Oregon Ducks.
Man, that one game, I was like, that hurts. Because we knew for a fact that Utah's gonna be in there to win that game. We knew. We like they are gonna be in the playoff. It's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It was no dispute. It was like no dispute. You have to let them in if they win this game. Didn't win the damn game. I was like, all right, that's cool. I was salty because it felt like they should have, and it felt like they definitely had the tools. I was just, oh man, that's hard, man. It wasn't.
Not cool.
It was not. It was not. Thank goodness I'm not a gambling person either, because I would have been broke off of that game. Oh my gosh, man. Oh, that's hard.
Yep. But hey, Oregon would go on to win the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. So
yeah. I guess for me too, and looking at that list, it's funny because seeing the fact that, okay, you got Notre Dame who ends up knocking off Clemson, but without Lawrence, right? And then
we're
I
gonna
think
get that.
I wish everybody.
We're getting that game again in the ACC championship, and Trevor Lawrence will be there.
And I think that's the only reason why he had Notre Dame ranked where he had them is because of the ACC championship game. I think that's the only reason why he did that. Because there's no reason I would see Clemson at 3 if without that championship game, I don't see Clemson at 3. You know what I'm saying? But
man, look, listen. Let's cut all of this right now. Ronnie, you know just as well as I do. It is not Notre Dame's fault. Trevor Lawrence was not in the game.
It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not his fault. Clemson lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. So
it's Clemson's defense.
No, my point. Well, yeah, that too. But my point was, you can't use a player not being there for the reason that they lost or the game would have been different. We don't know that. For all we know, when that game goes on, if Trevor Lawrence is there, how do we know Notre Dame don't play that same kind of defense and Ian Book don't show out like he did with Ukulele?
Hey, I tell you what I do know. What I do know is that freshmen would have been more prepared and would have done a lot more in that game to where it wouldn't have had to go 2 overtimes if you don't keep Lawrence in so he can put up 73 points on somebody. Take him out the game and let that boy get some snaps, man. That's just bad sportsmanship. I can't stand what I called this dude last week. I gave him a new name too from Clemson, that coach, man. Dabo Sweeney. I called him Debo last week. That was Debo, all right? 70-something points.
I'm gonna throw this
out, man.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I want you guys to tell me what you think.
I'm sorry, son.
This would be my top 8.
Mm-hmm.
If it was an extended playoff, this would be my top 8.
Okay.
Alabama, Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll leave this up to toss up. Alabama, Ohio State. Can't stay in. Let me start over. Let's do this the right way.
Okay.
Go. SEC winner, Alabama.
Yep.
Big Ten winner, Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
ACC would be a toss-up between who wins between Notre Dame and Clemson.
True.
Pac-12 winner, Oregon. Group of 5, number 1, Marshall. Group of 5, number 2, Cincinnati.
Ooh.
BYU.
Ooh.
BYU.
Mm-hmm.
Big 12 winner, Oklahoma State, assuming they can actually win it, and Liberty.
I've got some major problems with your top 8 right there.
Please explain.
Okay, first of all, you need to switch Cincinnati and Marshall, because that's number 1. Number 2, have you not seen how well Kyle Trask is playing for the Florida Gators? Have you not seen? Have you?
I have.
So how can you not have Florida in your playoff?
You want me to be honest, or you want me to lie?
Why would I? Dude, you're on a talk show on YouTube. Be honest.
Who do you have to play if you're the Florida Gators should you make it to the SEC title game?
If they beat Alabama, they should be in.
If you can beat Alabama, but you have to see Alabama? That's the first part of your problem. The second part of your problem is how many losses does Florida have?
1.
If you lose that SEC championship, how many losses will you have?
Yeah, 2.
How many times have you seen a 2-loss team make it to the college football playoff?
0. Okay. But did Florida not knock off a then top 10 Georgia Bulldogs team?
That's your only body of work right now. Everybody else you've played has been cupcakes in the SEC. Now, again, I'm not discounting what Florida has done because you play who's on your schedule. That's not the problem. The problem comes in championship weekend, and that's for everybody. If you're not going in undefeated, you don't have a good chance to make it.
Nope.
Correct.
If Florida goes into Alabama to the championship game with Alabama as a 1-loss team and they lose, that makes them a 2-loss team, and the committee's not going to care. It's not up to me. It's up to the committee. So that's the problem with Florida. That's why I didn't put them in, because I can't guarantee that they're going to beat Alabama. Should they beat Alabama, then I can say, okay, I kick out Liberty because now we got 2 SEC teams in that deserve it. Alabama's beating on everybody. They only lost in the championship game, so they deserve to be in. Florida won the conference championship, so they deserve to be in. That's the only way I see Florida getting in. But there's no guarantee with that, even though Trask has been playing lights out. If Trask can play lights out in the championship game, I put them in. If he doesn't, it's a 2-loss Florida team. The best they going is the Fiesta, not the Fiesta, but I say the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
New Year's.
Okay. And then how do you have Marshall ahead of Cincinnati? Cincinnati.
I have Marshall ahead of Cincinnati because, okay, let's call it what it is. Both teams are playing in shitty conferences in the group of 5. That's not their fault, but that's the way it is.
Correct.
But although Marshall has ranking wise, they have, a lower ranking than Cincinnati. The body of work is there.
Yep. Worst conference.
The worst conference, but everybody they played, they beat on. So, and I'm using this as an example. Back when we were growing up, it was the play who's on your schedule and we'll see who ends up 1 or 2.
Yep.
That's the same thing that Marshall's doing right now. They're playing who's on their conference schedule. Now, I will say this to make a point. Had college football not gone to a conference-only schedule, and they do this, and they're still undefeated, that body of work looks a little bit better.
Yep.
That's true. I give you that.
But because they play in Conference USA, which is kind of crappy right now,
super bad.
This is what they have to work with, which is not their fault. So they're going undefeated. They're going to go undefeated at least until they reach the conference championship. Their toughest test of the season was Appalachian State, and they won.
Yep.
Every other game they've won, every other game and team that they've played on their schedule, they've won by more than 20 points.
That's fair.
Here's their remaining schedule. Florida International was postponed. Rice game was postponed, and the Eastern Carolina game was postponed. So there's no guarantee we'll see those games made up, but whatever. The remaining schedule that's playable, Rice, Florida International, I guess they made that game, or making that game up. Rice, Florida International, and Charlotte. I do not see them losing those games.
I don't either. I'm just saying Cincinnati should.
I'm gonna read their schedule too. We're gonna go to them too. Hold on. My computer's being computery.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit jumpy. That's all.
It's cool. Now, in the American Athletic Conference, the body of work for Cincinnati goes as such. Okay. They've beaten Army. They've beaten APSU, South Florida, Tulsa. Their only ranked win was against SMU. They beat Memphis, Houston, and Eastern Carolina. Their next the next 3 games, UCF, Temple, and Tulsa. We can't guarantee Tulsa will be ranked by the time that game comes around.
True.
Army's shit right now. Army's just terrible. And again, their only ranked win after that is SMU. Yes, Cincinnati's ranked higher, but there is not a guarantee, but there is a probability that come Tulsa, at Tulsa, they will lose. They will still end up in the Conference USA Championship, but if they don't beat Tulsa, it'll be a rematch, more than likely, with SMU. SMU doesn't really lose twice to the same team in the same season. And considering how SMU got beat on by Cincinnati, they'll be looking for revenge. Meanwhile, Marshall has a clean slate. They got to coast into the championship. And they may coast through the championship and win that. So I would have to give a group of 5 spot to Marshall and hope Cincinnati can hold up their end. There's the difference.
I understand that, and you present valid arguments, but I still give Cincinnati the slight edge.
I would give that edge to them too, assuming Luke Fickell makes them handle or keeps them handling business. But this is just a what if scenario. I don't see them expanding anytime soon.
No.
But assuming most of the teams that are undefeated stay undefeated, it's gonna be a big ass argument coming back.
Yeah, it is. It's one of situations where you figure, because like we said, with COVID happening and a lot of these, different wins or losses that we've seen, teams that we thought were going to be in there getting knocked off early and whatnot. It's just kind of hard to say. And even with that, if you look at a conference like the ACC right now, actually, which looks a lot more exciting than it did at the beginning of the season.
Oh yeah.
Because right now Miami's still in it.
And so is Carolina.
Yeah,
Believe it or not.
I mean, everybody's separated by that one loss. You know what I mean? Because especially with Clemson losing now, you got Clemson has a loss, Miami has a loss,
Notre Dame
Carolina
has none.
Notre Dame has none. So,
But Carolina still has to see Notre Dame at the end of the season.
yes, they do. See, that's the whole issue with the whole like only conference only schedule this season is throwing a lot of people off. You know, beforehand it was like, okay, you get a loss to whatever, maybe in your conference, maybe not, whatever, maybe it's out of conference, something like that. And then let's say you still get a chance to be in the conference championship because you haven't lost in your actual conference, right? Now
Correct.
it's conference only, and you're like, okay, I can only really afford to lose a game, maybe not even that, because when it comes to the conference championship, like Mel was saying, you get them 2 losses, man. The committee gonna be like, no, we good. Now, if you get that one loss in the championship game, and let's say there's another team who is taking their second loss in the championship game, and let's say there is an expanded playoff, something like that, okay, now you do have a chance to kind of slide up in there. And that scenario that Reggie Bush put out there with multiple teams being in there from different conferences and having like, 2 SEC teams, 2 ACC teams, that looks more likely to happen in that kind of scenario. It's just so interesting to see how this is going to play out because me looking at the ACC right now, it's like, okay, it could be one of these 4 teams, you know what I mean? Where at the beginning of the season looking in, you're like, everybody was picking Clemson, you know what I mean? And then with them having a loss and Notre Dame not having a loss, it could be a scenario where you see, okay, let's say for some reason Clemson does get that revenge. They're in the ACC championship. They end up winning that. Then you have a different argument of, okay, who's going to be that other team? You know what I mean? Are you going to say, Notre Dame may still get a chance or something like that, looking at how other conferences have played? I feel like right now, your 2 undefeateds are probably going to be OSU, Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, it's going to be a bunch of other teams that's has lost a game. And it's the same scenario we've seen in the last couple of years where now you have a bunch of one-loss teams. What do? BYU still sitting there undefeated. Honestly, based off of what their schedule looks like, I don't see them losing a game the rest of the season. And them going undefeated and being in that same situation that UCF was in a couple years ago when they were undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? What do you do in this current playoff situation? It's going to be another snub, man. It's going to be another snub. It sucks.
And next year,
and that's why Notre Dame. And that's why Notre Dame jumped on.
Yep, because they knew they didn't have a choice.
They didn't have a choice. Conference only, you're like, oh, no, we got to join somebody, at least for just this year, to get a shot to go in there.
And they normally do that. They have never joined a conference. In 100 and some odd years of football, they've never joined a conference.
Ever. Wouldn't even thought about, wouldn't even spoke of. It probably was like a cuss word up in there.
Money from the TV deal.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It probably was like blasphemy to even talk about that. You know what I'm saying? On campus. We should join We should join a what? You want to join a who? Where you trying to go? No. You know what I'm saying? But now you're like.
For the record, not to cut you off, Army is not shit. I said they're shit because I expected them to be undefeated right now, but they are 62.
Yep. I feel you.
I expected them to do better, but given the circumstances, everybody's being exposed.
True. Sorry, I just had to step out for a second.
It's cool. But that's my playoff scenario if it was an 8-team playoff, because the group of 5 teams are showing that it is likely that they would make it, and the best team that had a chance would probably be BYU. With that defense, that offense, I don't see I don't see them beating if they were to play Alabama. I don't see them beating Alabama, but I see them giving Alabama a very hard time.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you figure that's gonna be one of them games where it's like, okay, who can score the most? Obviously, I mean that's how you win a game, but it's more so like who literally is gonna score the most because these are teams that are averaging 40 plus points a game on everybody. And it's to a
Right.
point where now you're like, okay, when y'all play each other, what does that look like? Is there going to be a bunch of big plays, or if it's going to be a scenario where they're playing a little bit of a softer coverage, right? Or let's say they're doing something where they're like, okay, we know y'all can run up points, so we'll give you your little 5 yards, 6 yards, whatever here and there. We'll let you nickel and dime it a little bit out of for fear of like a game getting away too quick. And then it's also like, okay, who ends up getting the ball first? Because we all know if you're the last one to touch the ball before you go into halftime and you got it coming out at the beginning, that can be a big change too in terms of how the
Exactly.
game flow is, right? So I would say in that kind of matchup, like a BYU Bama, I mean, you almost got to say something crazy and be like, okay, one team wins if they get to 50. I don't know. Because the way these offenses is playing, that's kind of the name of like the new game anyway. 'Cause, I mean, it's funny because we had a discussion a few weeks ago. I was so hung up on the old school style of like, okay, yeah, you got all these great defenses. You got these defenses that allow only 92 yards or on the ground and like 200 in the air, whatever it is. You got teams who, statistically, you're like, well, they only giving up 16 a game, something like that. It's like, that's cool. But at the end of the day, and it's something that Saban said as well, he's like, this is the new style of football. It's all about like these high powered offenses and spreading the ball around more and being able to throw up 35, 40 a game. That's just kind of what it is right now. The old
LSU
school look.
exemplified that last season with Joe Burrow and that spread him out offense with Joe Brady and I forget who the other offensive coordinator was for LSU.
And that's the thing because like and the SEC was not ready for air raid, not at all,
And Ringer, that's who it was.
not at all. Air
And
raid type of offense, it was not ready for that. With nobody trying to scheme on that.
and
It's just unheard of in the SEC.
I'll give you credit for this, Josh. SEC hadn't seen that type of football since Steve Spurrier bought it when he was coaching at Florida.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. Exactly.
I also have some news for you, Josh. I just read this. Next week's the 21st, correct? Or this week?
Next Sunday is the 22nd.
Yeah, so this Saturday is 21st. Yep.
I got news for your Wildcat.
My Wildcats.
It's the running gag we got right now since you were talking about Northwestern. Guess who they play next week?
I'm not a North. What?
Wisconsin plays Northwestern next week. So it don't look like Northwestern will be making the Big Ten championship.
I'm not a Northwestern fan, so I don't know why you said that.
I know. I just like I wanted to.
Oh man,
funny to me. But
by the way, it's 23-10. New England leads Baltimore on Sunday Night Football now.
23-10. Goodness gracious. This is the most unpredictable season, man, I think I've ever watched.
Hey,
oh my goodness, man.
Let's be fair. You know damn well. Wait, is New England at home?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. 12th man, dog. 12th man is a real thing.
No, there's nobody at the game, though.
You still ain't beating New England at home.
That weather is just horrible, man. Foxborough.
It's rain. Hey, it's raining in New England anyway, so.
Oh, no one wants to be at that stadium when it's like rain, snow, wind, anything. It's just ugly. Like
you're not beating New England at home, though. Sorry.
No, that's just not. Yeah, that's their advantage for sure, man. If it was in Baltimore, I'd be like, oh my gosh, why?
Of course, yeah. If it was Baltimore, yes. Baltimore dog walk, but you're not beating nobody. You're not beating no New England team in New England if the team is actually.
Nope. That's why the game was so crucial when we watched, the Packers go up against the Vikings. at Lambeau Field, a few
Yeah.
weeks ago.
You gotta win those type of games.
Like that game, I was like, wow, man, this is
Which game are
nuts.
you referencing?
This was a few weeks ago. Is that the one when Cook had them 4 TDs?
Yep. And like
Oh, I know it. Okay, I thought you meant like
That
a game.
game.
I thought you
Yeah,
meant
that
like
was
a
a
game 2 seasons ago or something.
no, that was like an unexpected dub right there. Cause hey, man,
okay. Last
man.
question before we
Mhm.
end the show. I was conversing with Kenny, Josh, and
Oh, you love talking with Kenny.
yeah, but you know what? We patched it up. And, agree to disagree. But we did have a nice little conversation about baseball and ownership. So this question,
Okay.
to you and Ronnie, do you think, um, as a Cleveland sports fan, do you think or feel there needs to be better ownership involved in Cleveland sports? Don't kill yourself over it. I want to hear your thoughts because he said some things and we were talking about it and it struck me because I Ronnie, we've had this talk about Browns ownership, but it never went past
Mhm.
it never went past what it should be. So when me and Kenny talked about it today, he said how he felt about the Indians ownership. So it struck me to
Ooh.
present this question to both of you guys. Do you feel there needs to be better ownership as far as Cleveland sports is concerned?
For me, it depends on which sport you're talking about.
We talking about all of it.
No,
Basketball, baseball, football.
no, I get it, but I'm starting my statement by saying it depends on what sport you're talking about. Like for the Cavs, I feel like Gilbert is a pretty good owner. I'm not going to say he's a great owner. I'll say pretty good. He had the whole tussle with LeBron when, LeBron left to go to Miami, and I think Dan Gilbert said something like, "Oh, we're going to win a championship before LeBron does," and all this nonsense. And
Mhm.
so he gets
Man.
he gets a little bit of a ding for that. And I never felt like Dan Gilbert. I get it. Dan Gilbert's not the one who makes the trades and does the roster moves and all that. But I never felt when LeBron was here for the first time with Cleveland from 2003 to 2010, I never felt like Dan Gilbert was like pushing for the general manager of the Cavs. I don't remember who the general manager was at the time.
Danny Ferry, I believe.
Danny Ferry.
But I never Danny Ferry, thank you. But I never felt like Gilbert was like, hey, let's try and get a second superstar for LeBron to play with. Like, because who knows? Maybe we could have beaten the Boston Celtics in that 2008 series then if LeBron had a second superstar. Maybe we wouldn't have lost that Eastern Conference Finals against Orlando the way we did. So that's why I'm saying Gilbert's pretty good, but not great. Now, with the Haslams, they're just too hands-on with everything. It's like it's like they're taking the Jerry Jones approach. And I'm just like, no, you can't do that. Look at how it's turned out for Dallas. 8-8 in the last few years, and they're not going to get more than what? Five wins, maybe, at most this season. It's Jerry Jones' fault. Like, why did he hire Mike McCarthy? It's because Jerry Jones pretty much wanted a yes man, if you will, like somebody who's not going to march to the beat of their own drum. Think about where this Cowboys offense would be if Dak Prescott was still healthy. So hypothetically, let's just say Dak Prescott was still healthy. Think about what this Cowboys offense would look like if Eric Bieniemy was the head coach. Think about it. It's the same thing with the Browns. Because, like, the Haslams, specifically Jimmy, wants to be involved with everything. And, like, that hasn't done the Browns any favors.
Nope.
And Mel told me this the other day when we were talking. Apparently, the Haslams used to be, like, a minority owner in, like, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Didn't you
Yep.
tell me that, Mel?
They were.
Okay. And for some reason, that the Steelers culture didn't rub off on the Haslams when they came here to Cleveland. So that's my take on the Haslams. As for the Indians owners, which I don't – the Dolans. There we go. I don't really have a take on the Dolans because I don't know that much about them. I don't really know their ownership style because I haven't really heard much about them. So I don't know if are they involved with everything when it comes to the Cleveland Indians? Are they hands off? I'm being honest. I don't know.
You know, I like your take on this because I agree with you when it comes to Gilbert, right? With Gilbert and the Cavs, the thing that shook me back then was I feel like maybe he was trying to put that message out, but he did put that trust into the GM at the time. And the guys that he was going out and getting to play with LeBron, their time had already passed. You know,
like Antoine Jameson and Shaq.
Yeah, Antoine Jameson. Like Jameson was a beast when he was with the Wizards, but that was like when he was with, him and Gilbert Arenas and cats just balling on people because the Wizards were like a force at that point.
Don't forget Caron Butler.
Yeah, Caron Butler, right. So the thing is, that was at that point. But you figure Jameson, right, was already past all of that when he got to Cleveland. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And then Shaq, that was another crazy one like that, already passed, right?
Right.
Zerbiak wasn't even there. Like Zerbiak never was on the level he should have been on. You know what I'm saying?
Delonte West and Ben Wallace.
Right. And Ben Wallace already passed, you know what I mean? Like the youngest part of that was Delonte West because he was kind of like up and coming a little bit, but he has stuff going on up top, unfortunately.
Correct.
Okay. So you're like, all right, y'all picked some people that had a decent resume. But as far as the delivery of that time had already passed by. And it was like putting LeBron back in that same situation that he was in back in 07, except the difference was he felt like he could trust those guys a little bit more just because of like basketball IQ, where in 07 he didn't have that kind of team at all. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is,
idea how we made the finals in 07.
That's the only example. That's the main example I have actually when it comes to people talking about like, his greatness and all that stuff. But the thing is, like, when it comes to ownership, I feel like Gilbert could have been a little more hands-on in regards to that for that group, right? With the Dolans, they cheap. They're cheap. Like they're just cheap. The Indians, man, look, I will argue that the Indians have. Let me bring you up to speed then. Let me argue this right now. Because the Dolans are cheap. The Dolans.
That I've heard.
They have invested majority of that into the farm system. So with the Indians, the problem is they literally have a top 5 farm system in the MLB right now for the last decade or so. They will recruit the hell out of some people. When they farm these guys and when they bring them up through the minors, they're legit all the time, always legit, whether it's pitching, whether it's the batting, whatever. When they bring them up to that system, it's legit. But here's the problem. As soon as they get good and as soon as they show life and have the Cleveland, winning the division and possibly the pennant and stuff like that, they sell them off. They're traded. They're bought out. They don't want to pay them for some reason. And I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Every single time, every single player I've seen, or they'll bring a guy in and can't hold on to him for more than a season or two. And they let him walk away or something like that. That's the issue I have with the Dolans. They're not spending the money that they probably have. Remember, in baseball, with there being no cap and stuff like that, you can do whatever you want to do I get it. Cleveland's not a same size market as like a New York or somewhere out west, whatever. I get that part, but the way they've done things strategically, they can figure out a way to pay some people, and they're not doing it, and it just pisses me off because like y'all literally have the ability to be that team or that franchise that has multiple titles, and you're just not doing it for some reason. I will never know the reason why. I can't explain to you why they don't want to pay folks. It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like we're the team that brings people up, and then we give them off to LA or give them off to, the Yankees or the Red Sox or whatever. A lot of that success that Boston had, even in the earlier, or later part of the 2000s or whatever, they had players coming from Cleveland. They had players
Mhm.
coming from these other systems that they didn't bring up. That's something that we gifted. Like, here you go, try that out. Oh, you got a World Series title. Great. Okay, cool. That was our dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen that way too many times with them. With the
Yep.
Browns, when the Hasms came in, right? Because beforehand, when they had Lerner, I felt like that was a cool thing to see. But the problem is when he passed on and his son took over, that was just horrible. Because his son don't know nothing about football. He knows about the international word football, soccer. Okay. When it came to like American football, no, not a clue. Had no reason running the Browns ever. Okay. So that was just tragic when the way that went down. And then when Hasms came in, they were too hands on. Like they were the reason why you saw Johnny Manziel on the field in the first place. They're the reason
Uh,
why they overstepped, Kyle Shanahan when he was in Cleveland. The last time the Browns were in the same exact position, 6-2 after 8 weeks, is because of Kyle Shanahan and what they were doing. When
that
Josh
was the
Gordon
year
first
Mike.
came on team, they were
Sorry.
killing people. They were killing people. I'm talking like both sides of the ball. Like they were looking at Cleveland like, what is this? What are y'all doing? What's this scheme that y'all got going on? How's this working? They were smacking
Wasn't
people.
that
And then all
wasn't
of a
that the year
sudden,
Mike Penn was the head coach?
I believe
I,
so.
yep, yep, Mike Pettin was head coach because he came from being D coordinator, right? Here's my
2014 then.
Yeah, that year was crazy. But then here it is. Haslam step in and trying to make all these decisions, trying to overstep the head coach, offensive coordinators, and all of that because they were so thirsty to get Johnny Manziel to start. They forced that. That was the biggest beef that Shanahan had and why he left and went to Atlanta. Is because he didn't feel like he had the power that he was supposed to be given in his contract. And ultimately, he just said, I quit. He just left. He's like, I'm not putting up with this. I got 1 year of this. I'm good. I'm actually going to leave. You don't have to fire me. I'm walking away. I'm going to leave. And then what does he do? Leads them to the Super Bowl, right? OC, and then gets his head coaching job in San Francisco. We had him here. We had him here, and we saw what he could do with a team that had a decent run game, that had actual speed on the outside. Because before Gordon was going through his crap and all that, he was torching cats. He was in the Pro Bowl that year. That team was sick. It don't make any sense to see how it just crumbled apart like that. But that was the ownership. They was too involved, man. Wanting to handpick people, wanting to figure out like, oh, who should we have drafted and all of that. That ain't your job. That's why you hire a GM or a president or something, player
Right.
personnel. You don't do that. Owners don't handpick people in the draft. Like get out the conversation. You pick the people you feel going to put you in the best position to win, and you sit back and count that money.
That's why I was
Period.
comparing that.
Period.
That's why I was comparing them, the Haslams, to Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. I was
Just the
kind of
first year
taking
that
that.
Haslam's actually took a step back. The first year.
Yeah,
First year.
Okay.
I was kind of
First
Mel. I was
first
kind
year.
of basic. Mel, I was
Can't
kind
stand
of
that.
saying that based off what you and I were talking about the other night.
Yeah, me and Ronnie talk about this all the time. So here we go.
God, man.
As far as basketball is concerned, I will say Gilbert at times had his head up a body cavity that I can't really mention on TV, especially when we first got LeBron back in '03,
Mm-hmm.
because there were too many free agents that I'm almost confident LeBron had went to him and said, "Go get," and he never did.
True.
Well,
Yes.
I'm not gonna say he didn't go get him. Danny Ferry didn't go get
Yep.
him, and that's what set the team back 7 more years after he left.
Yep.
He's gotten a little bit better, but he fucked up again when he let David Griffin go. And
Man.
I know the stigma with Gilbert is that he doesn't keep a GM longer than 3 years, but this should have been a situation where you're finally on good terms with the world's best player.
Mm-hmm.
Your best player is on great terms with your general manager. That should have been a recipe for success. Because
100%.
as much as your best player and GM communicate, that should have showed you all you need to do is just help make the phone call. Because owners talk all the time. I know they do. There's no way you can pay me to believe it. So because they do, when Griffin says, "Hey, what do you think about getting such and such?" I'll give you a perfect example. Remember back in 2007, before they made the final, when Bibby, Stoudemire, and I believe it was Howard were all going to hit free agency.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody and Bibby ended up going to Atlanta, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think Stoudemire re-signed with the Suns that year, if I'm not mistaken. That would have been the perfect opportunity to build the perfect Eastern Conference team that nobody could stop.
Correct.
Exactly.
Bibby would have, stat-wise, Bibby would have given you 19 a night. Stoudemire would have gave you 12 plus 10. And Dwight probably would have gave you 30. Just because you spread the ball too much. You don't have anybody to cover him. Not in the East at that point.
Exactly.
And Gilbert screws it up, which is why LeBron left. We moved to baseball. Ronnie, you have never been more spot on. You have never been more spot on than this. The Dolphins are very cheap.
They are.
Yes, this is a family business for them. But at the same time, they are the best team in mid-market baseball.
Yes, they are.
From Cleveland to Milwaukee, they are the best team.
Yep.
Hands down. They have the best organization, the best farm system, the best field product. They have it all. And they won't spend the money, which is why Francisco Lindor is probably going to get traded.
Oh, my gosh.
And to me, because we've talked about this before, to me, if anybody in that organization was smart, and I'm not saying they're not smart, but because this is a pandemic, everything's fucked up, and it gives you some leeway. Nobody wants to trade for real. If you look at it, how many trades were at the trade deadline for baseball? Not a lot.
Nope. A handful, really.
Better yet, here's a better question. Come next season, how many trades do you think are going to be made because of this COVID and everybody being on protocol restrictions?
Not many, you'd expect.
Yeah, I'm going to guess not many.
You're going to see more extensions.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would agree.
So this would be a chance to look at Lindor face to face. If I was anybody in the Dolan family and I had Lindor's number, I'd be calling him right now. Hey, look, man. I know we ain't got it like you want it, but can we work something out that you stay? Because in reality, yes, there is no salary cap in baseball, but most of their revenue to pay these players comes from butts in the seats. There were not a lot of butts in the seats this year, if at all.
There were no fans in attendance during the regular season.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, players were only getting a third of their contract money. So this would be the perfect time to say, look, what can we do to keep you here? You already let Yasiel Puig leave, and that was your power hitter. You needed a power bat that you didn't have. You let him go. He's in Atlanta. Yep. Reyes was the only batter above 250 all season. you basically set your defense up for failure, mainly your pitching staff, because you were too cheap to keep one player, which was your power bat. Not even if he had a great batting average. He's an intimidating presence. He's not Albert Bell, but he's big enough to scare a pitcher into throwing at him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you let him go, you pretty much screwed your offense. You set your defense up for failure because now you have to hustle to score points. Not how you do it. It's just my opinion. Everybody's not going to feel the same way. Football-wise, I said this to Josh. I'm going to say it on the air. The Haslams do not know how to operate a football team. And it's not anything negative against them. It's just there. The evidence is there. When they bought the team, they were leaving a well-run organization that they learned absolutely nothing from.
Yep.
The Steelers have been around since 1933. That's over 80 years. And you did not learn one thing of how to run a team. That is a family-owned business that knows football. You had minority ownership with the team, and you mean to tell me you couldn't figure out how to pick a good general manager, how to let your general manager generally manage the team? And
AKA John Dorsey.
That was where the problem came in for the Haslams, because they wanted the power that Dorsey had, and Dorsey, being the general manager that he is, was not giving it up.
Nope.
Which is the same problem he had in Kansas City, which is why Andy Reid got him out of there. I'm not gonna say he did, but when you with your coach and you just won a Super Bowl, or you got the world's best quarterback, it happens. The problem that I'm seeing now is that I got a feeling that they're going to try to sabotage this team within the next 2 years, because you got the coach that you wanted, and you got a general manager who's smart. And the fact that he commands you to listen is going to be the problem for the Haslams. I'm not going to say it will be sabotaged, but it's going to be a front office problem between general manager and owner. Because once that happens, it's going to be, well, I have the power because I own the team. Well, I have the power because you hired me. And that's going to be good for morale. This year, it's working. You're letting your coach. You're letting your GM do what he does best in the office, which is try to find people, try to make the best deal. You're going to have to restructure somebody's contract within the next 2 years to keep Baker, keep Miles, and maybe Jarvis.
Yeah,
Chubb's already
it's going to be rough.
Yeah, Chubb's already locked for at least the next 2 years, and so is Hunt. The team's going to be successful. I really believe that. I'm hoping, as a football fan, the Haslams are smart enough to say, you know what, we finally got it right. Outside of this pandemic, I guarantee you at 62 right now or 63 right now, Cleveland Stadium would be packed.
You're right.
It would be packed. Every game would be packed, win or lose. Browns backers would be at other games, at away games, just chilling, waiting on the Browns to smack whoever. So I'm hoping they keep this formula, and I hope Stefanski's strong enough to deal with them.
Man.
If not, Haslams needs to just sell the team, because that's the only way the Browns are going to survive if they can't get out of their own way.
And that's what I said. And that's what I said like a couple weeks ago. I was like, if this doesn't work right now, what they're doing, even if it's just, playoff run, something like that, that's cool, because that's eons beyond where you were. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So if you get that formula and keep that going and it works, great. But if it doesn't, this is it. This is it. You need to sell, because if you don't, you're going to lose a lot of funding, man, a lot of money. People are going to be like, I'm through with this crap. I can't keep putting myself through this. And it's all coming from the ownership.
Yeah. And to be honest, the only out of all three major sports, I think the only ownership I would really be pissed off with would be the Indians, because the Indians for the last 10 years have been the best team
Yes,
out of everybody in the city.
consistently.
And they refuse. This is almost as bad as the Jacobs family gutting the team after '97.
Yes. Oh man.
Almost.
I was
Wow,
just born that year.
bro, that was the hardest thing to see,
Bad.
man.
It's not as bad, but it's bad because you're
Petty.
letting players go. And granted, yeah, you got the best farm system, but you got right now players who helped you, and you're letting them go. And that's the problem that I'm having with the Dolans. Is like, if you claim you don't have it to pay these players or pay the ones that want to stay the money that they want. Okay,
Hmm.
sell your half of the team. Get some billion-dollar ownership. George Steinbrenner owned the Yankees for what, 30, 40 years?
Something like
And
that.
Yeah.
and built 2 stadiums. He inherited one and then knocked it down and built another one that was just as good and just is just as good until he passed away. And the team is still a contender. And
Yep.
that's really all you want in baseball. Granted, baseball is the hardest sport to win a championship in. All you want is a contender. It is. 162
No,
games. 162 games plus a playoff. Come on, man.
Man,
No,
that's
it's
a
not.
lot.
No, I'm sorry.
You really think so?
Hockey, Stanley Cup, a lot harder.
You talking to Ronnie on that one?
Ooh, Stanley Cup. Ooh,
I don't.
Stanley,
You know.
man, that's
Stanley,
a good argument. That's a
Stanley Cup is
good.
harder to win than the World Series title.
That's a good argument.
That's
Be
even
honest.
that's even like one of the nicknames for the Stanley Cup is that it's the hardest trophy in all sports to win.
That's a
You know
good
what?
argument.
Truthfully, I'm gonna be honest with you. The reason I
That's
don't
hard.
feel hockey is harder is because there's no parity in baseball. It's the same teams every year. If you really look at it, Yankees, Red Sox, Angels to a degree, and then in the NL, it's always Chicago, the Cubs, the Dodgers, sometimes the Braves. It's always the same team. In hockey, at least you get to see the Blue Jackets in the playoffs. You know, that's just what I see. I'm not saying that it's true, but throughout the course of 162 games, you have a winning record and you still don't make the playoffs, and you might have been the sleeper team to win the playoff or to win the World Series, but you're not in it.
Yeah, it's a
As
trip,
opposed
man.
to hockey, where the Blue Jackets get in and they make a damn good push, but get beat by maybe the Lightning or the Red Wings when they're good. It's fair there, and that's, to me, that's important. That's what you don't see in the NFL because, well, you'll see it this year because New England probably won't be there, but you don't see it as much in baseball as you do basketball, hockey, the MLS to a degree. Like, you don't see it in baseball because baseball, that salary cap rule is a bitch.
Yeah,
And if you can't keep with that salary cap, you're gonna see New York, Boston, Tampa Bay in the playoffs. Then you're gonna see the Dodgers, the Cubs.
the big markets, man.
Yeah, that's
Right.
why I feel like it's harder in baseball because if you can't compete money wise, you're screwed. In hockey, just for the sake of argument, you could trade for Sergei Fedorov and be an instant contender.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
bro. Them years.
Yeah.
Man.
That's true. No, you make a valid point, and I don't disagree. But baseball isn't sure. Baseball has more games, 162 versus an 82 game schedule. I totally get it. But in baseball, there's not as much physical contact, and your body's not taking as much of a beating in baseball as you are in hockey. Think about it. In hockey, you're getting, like, players are getting checked against the wall, or like a player might get called for cross-checking because they slam their stick into their opponent. Or, like, if you go careening into the goalpost while trying to score. So hockey's a lot more physical, and it takes a lot more of your a lot more of a toll on your body. So sure, there's less games, but hockey's the more physical sport. Whereas and your point is valid about parity, although your point is not valid about the Angels. They haven't been that valid in the American League since 2002 when they won the World Series against the Giants. I'm sorry, but they're just not. The only reason anybody cares about the Angels now is because of Mike Trout. And his career is being wasted there. Just saying.
But hey, I'm going to be honest with you, man. That made me laugh. I had to cut my screen off for a second.
That was good, though. No, that was good. I mean, I was like, well, I mean, hey, yeah, I mean, hey.
You got a point.
Hey, you got a point. Yeah, man, for real. Like, that's a good point.
You damn so made me think about that one, huh?
Right, I'm sitting like, dang, all right, well, shoot. But no, I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Because my thing is, with hockey and just seeing that and how they're playing it out, first of all, you got to account for, okay, how many times am I going to hit this ice today? How many times, like you said, am I going to get banged up against this glass or cracked by a wooden stick or puck hit me in the side of my face? Or, you know, maybe somebody, for some reason, I get in a pile or whatever and that blade cut me, you know what I mean? Or something like that. It's some stuff to think about for sure. And then you figure on ice, it's people that don't generally run that fast that's going to look fast on ice, you know, coming at you whatever speed they skating at, you know what I mean?
And what?
I just,
so you know that's a recipe for disaster.
You know, it's crazy, man. Even thinking about that, because for me, I call hockey like it's like rugby on ice, man.
It is. Gosh. It is great, and that's the scary part.
That's scary. Like I'm cool on hockey. You ain't never gonna see me play a pickup game with hockey. I'll tell you that right now.
I'll play it on a video game.
Right. Let me get that NHL 97.
Right.
You won't see me lacing up a pair of skates and trying to score a goal anytime soon.
All right. That's final update for this game. Ravens are now down by 6, 23-17 to the Patriots, so they are trying to make a comeback. It is 7:09 left in the game in the fourth quarter.
Ooh, okay.
And they have the ball. So all they need to do is score a touchdown and get a stop. And that, you know, it is Lamar Jackson, so anything is possible. All right, Josh, we appreciate you being on. This was a great show. I'd like to thank DeQwan Young once again for being on and giving us some perspective from his line of work and his time in arena football. We will probably be on audio next week, so we will let you guys know. And we do have the matchups for the Friday night Super Fight tournament as well, so be on the lookout for those this week. Voting will be ending probably Saturday as we, you know, keep these matchups in line. I did want to, you know, I wanted to take a moment to thank Josh because, you know, get it, everybody's been in COVID and, you know, it's been hard on everybody. So we appreciate you being on. We thank you for being on. And we hope to have you on again. And
I'd be glad to. I accept already.
And we hopefully we can get some more people from Cleveland Sports Talk to come on because this was very entertaining and enlightening. Mm-hmm. And from me, I appreciate you being on very much. You know, just a great moment in where sports brings everybody together once again, and we have fun.
Yeah,
and you got a TV deal out of it for next year.
Absolutely, man.
Oh, you mean with DeQwan for the
Yeah, you got a instant TV deal, man. You about to be famous.
Hey, I'm trying to. I mean, I'm trying to make like this line of media stuff my full-time job. So we'll see.
Hey, you getting there? All right. Check us out next week. Be sure to keep our fan page in mind. Keep checking back for updates. For 4th and 15, that's Josh. I'm Mills. That's Smooth. Hey.
Peace.